Jimmy James Garage. Today we're working on the Bluey, the 55. If you notice, I don't have my signature hat on. What the heck? I got a rain hat on. It's raining outside, but my hat is being embroidered to have my little logo, my little Jimmy James Garage logo. Looks like this. So it has a little, this is backwards because of the camera, but yeah, you get the thing. JJG, that's what we're doing. So here I'm working on the Bluey, the intake manifold, pulling it apart, getting ready to paint it. So if you are out there and you can hear me, give me a thumbs up because we are live. Of course, I left my pipe out in the house. Didn't bring it out here today, so I got no pipe. So anyhow, I can't see how many we got because of the light there. Let's do that. That's better. That stupid light back there is in the way of my live here. But yeah, I hope you recognize me with this new hat on, or this old hat on, I should say. And especially forward. I don't wear them forward much, so I can do it backwards. There we go. There. So, but anyways, there you go. So as we're waiting for somebody to get on here, and we're going live. Live as live can be. Whew. We are live. Had to get more tools to be live. So, all right, got somebody out there now. We are live in the shop working on the 55 that we call Bluey. I'm working on the intake manifold right now. I'm pulling it apart so I can clean it up and see how it looks like when it's all cleaned up, and then we're going to put it back together again. So that's the plan, man. So I'm getting her apart, getting ready to port match it and clean it up a little bit. I test fitted it, made sure the 1-inch spacer fit with the carburetor with the XP Holly on there. We're gonna cut the plenum down a little bit here. That is the plan anyways. So just pulling it apart, getting her all cleaned up. But this is what we're working on right now because it's greasy. That's it right there. We're taking it all apart. I'm going to clean up this plenum here. I'm going to cut a piece out of it, about a 1-inch piece, 1 inch down and over to open this up. We're also adding the 1-inch spacer. And then that should cure some of the top end that we're having. I want to say issues with it, but I don't know that it performs to the level I think it should, because it's a real torque monster coming out of the hole. And I figure we can give up a little bit of that to get a little bit more on top. Anyways, that's the plan. But I don't want to give it all up, obviously, if that makes sense to everybody. So I got to get this thing fully apart and cleaned up. Hey, Lee Gamer said hi, hello, how are you? I said we're just working on this Performer RPM. I had a debate whether I was going to keep the Performer RPM, switch to the air gap, or go to a single plane. And then the other option is that Wyan, they make one, Summit makes it. And it's wheeling, whiling. It's all made by Holly. It's American made, and I saw a couple tests on it, and it performs to what the Edelbrock does. So that's a consideration too, and it's an air gap style. It has the kind of a divider wall in it also. So, and let's say John Polat, Tad Joe, anyway, he said hello, and Sad Dikapemi said hello, how are you? ZBI77, best regards from Poland. All right, Poland in the house. I am in Idaho, so I'm a long ways from Poland. But yeah, that's very good. Pulling this apart, going to shine this all up, make it nice and pretty again. Let's hopefully the gasket saves. Yeah, looking good. So I don't think we'll have to mess with that. That should do real well, that gasket there. And the thermostat. Always a nice looking thermostat. Let's see what we have here. We have a 180. There it is. That's the high flow stats. Yeah, you know, it works good. And then something Salome. Oh, Zekabek stuff. I don't speak whatever that is, but hey, I hope it's good. We'll just take it as good. And then John, what's up, John? John, how are you doing? Nice to see you again. Yep, we're just working on this old intake here. This old beast. We're gonna get it all cleaned up. I'm gonna add that 1-inch spacer to it. We're gonna clean it up. Of course, we have a really fine Holly XP that's going on it. It stays on it, but that's a nice carburetor. This thing runs really good with this carburetor. But I just mocked it all up and it fits well. I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it. So go fast racing. All right. Cheers. What's happening? Let me get this up here. Yeah, so that's what we're working on. I'm actually going to turn the camera a little bit. I got to go get a part. Stick with me here. So I'm going to go limp over here and get my work table back over. It's a lot easier to work off a table than it is off the bench. The bench is kind of low. I can stand up and work off this. But this thing is phenomenal. I love my workbench. But yeah, so I have all my Edelbrock accoutrements, you know, gaskets and, you know, that kind of stuff. We're working on Holly right now, but yeah, that's all in there. It's pretty sweet whenever I need an adapter, you know, or not adapter, but a spacer. I got a few of them in there. I gave one away. I had a 4-hole and I knew a guy that needed one, and so I sent it off to him. Let's get rid of some of this so I can do some work. And there's our model. There we go. Go Speed Racer. Haven't done it yet. But yeah. Always a good idea to keep all your bolts in one little bucket and take pictures if you're not sure, because you never know what you need to know. If you know, you know. Oh, let's move some of that crapola out of the way. Now, look at what I found. 2 eggs. We have chickens. So that's where they're going to go for now. They can, they're in the way, but they will be in the way here in a minute. And then, you never know when you need one of those. What are we looking like here? Let me see let me keep up here. I gotta catch up. All right, go fast and cheers. Got you. What kind of car is that being renovated? So that's a 1955 Chevy. We call it Bluey. And it's not being renovated. It's already renovated. It's being fixed. I broke it, so now I'm fixing it. Let's see, go fast. Just another day in the workshop doing something, pinstriping and lettering. Panel in a 50s, early 60s style for the free pile and charity pile. That's cool. I can't pinstripe, not even close. Everything on wheels over here too. Yep, I get that. John, I have a 59 Ford Popular 100E. Oh, that's cool. You don't see many of those. Everything on wheels over here too. Yep. That's everything on wheels here too. But what I'm doing is, while I am on live, I'm cleaning up that turd. because it hasn't been cleaned up in forever. And so basically it's a great little manifold. This little stroker motor performs surprisingly well. I thought, so I was told it had a roller cam in it. It does not. It has a flat tappet cam, and it's a runner. It's a high 11-second car, low 12s depending on the day. But I was going to change this manifold to a single plane because it kind of runs out on top. I wouldn't say it doesn't lay down. It just doesn't have lots on top. I wouldn't say it's a real barn burner on the top end, but it is out of the hole. It really, really gets it. So my plan is, let's see, I have a Chevy Silverado 1500 LS 4x4 2008. I got an LS over there and I got an LS over here. I got lots of LSs. I got two of them. I got a 6.0 and a 5.3, and arguably are they an LS? Yeah, I guess not, but I call them LSs. LS based. But yeah, I love those LS motors. They're cool. I mean, I like them all. We've had the debate before here on my channel. But, you can see that this is the difference between the air gap, because this is a non-air gap. It has this divider wall that's raised. So we're going to come in here. I'm going to cut that down 1 inch, and then I'm going to put a 1-inch spacer on it. And hopefully that cures the top end and doesn't kill the bottom. I have thought about using that Wheelin' Wyland, the Holly one. Summit actually makes the same. It's the same model. A little nick there. That's good. Not bad. Summit makes the same exact model, and it's pretty inexpensive, and it has a little air gap in it. And so that's definitely a consideration. And I might do that, or I might just do a Victor Jr. single plane. The jury's still out, but I think I'm just going to cut this down. First, I'm going to get it cleaned up, because either way it needs to be cleaned up. Let's see, if I could engine swap it with S Viper V8 V6 3.6. If I could, I'd swap it with the Viper. Okay. Yeah, I guess you would. I don't know. It's each his own. I would not, but I am more known for engine building, matching, and dreamy porting. Okay. Is that an Austin Martin? No, that's a 55 Chevrolet, and in the background is a Pontiac Safari. I can actually drop the hood. There we go. That's a Safari over there. And as back to the engine porting, this I did not do the work on this motor. We bought the car with the engine in it years and years ago, and it runs like a top. And I didn't do the porting on it. I fancy myself as a pretty good porter. Everything I've done flows real well and puts out good numbers. And these, let me tell you, whoever did it did a bang-up job. They look really, really good. They're the Edelbrock Performer RPM heads, older ones, been on there for who knows how long. Whoever ported them did an outstanding job to it. That's why this thing runs, because it's got great heads on it. So now I just need to match this intake to the ports, because they didn't match the intake. And I know they say it doesn't give you much, but there's quite a bit of meat here, and some of the imperfections in these things, like these little casting bumps, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you got these little casting bumps here. That all should be cleaned up. I've had an engine building class years ago, and have built a lot of engines, probably hundreds, and every one of them that I hit with a die grinder tends to really waken them up. And so it doesn't take much. Just take a couple of these little spots out, like this one. This is terrible. There's a little bump here. There's a whole bump right there. I mean, you can feel it with your finger. It's a good size little So as it comes down, it's going to hit that. It's going to cause a little bit of a flow issue. Like I said, we're not going to hog it out. We're just going to clean those things up, match them to the gaskets. Let's see here. I'm falling behind. Oh, Safari, cool. That front fender kind of looks like an old Aston Martin. It did from just what it was, but now you can kind of see the whole body. So that's why I went and dropped that hood. That was supposed to be next on the list to get going. It's fallen back a few spots, but yeah, that's what we're doing here. So yeah, general cleanup is usually a little more responsive. You know that these guys flow these things. I mean, Edelbrock's, they know what they're doing. And so honestly, cleaning stuff up is probably about 99% of it. You can open them up. You can get a little more out of them. I'm not going to kid anybody. You can do that. But most of the guys that just own a die grinder and a little Dremel tool, they can do wonders with just some cleanup and just getting some of these curves kind of taken out. This all feels pretty good. Oh, there's another little big casting mark in there. That's got to come out. So, not a V6 for V4, sorry. Marvin. Hey, Jimmy, what's up, Marv? How are you? Hope all is good. I'm here working on my intake manifold. So what I'm doing is I had a problem, had a water leak, and it was leaking out of the intake, out of the back of the intake. And when I got into it, I discovered that I had a bunch of drama, getting ready to jump off, and caught it in time. Didn't hurt nothing. The manifold was leaking. The gaskets were kind of giving away from being old. So my debate is whether to run this manifold again, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But it is a dual plane, and the car does lay down. I keep saying lay down. It doesn't really lay down. It just doesn't really have tons of power on top. And so do I cut this divider out in the middle, take a 1-inch shot out of it, and then put the 1-inch spacer on it? Because that's kind of the plan right now. You know, dropping that on there like so. And then taking this down 1 inch. That should give me more volume for top end stuff. Or do I put a Victor Jr. on it? You know, single plane? Who knows? So if I missed anybody while I was talking here, go comment. That'd be cool. Folks say don't do it. So that first timer don't bring their own parts. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I just think if you go easy, it's probably not a problem. Yeah, general cleanup usually is a little more responsive. Yep, absolutely. My comments are doubling for some reason. I'm not typing it twice, that for sure. That's fine. I don't care. I'll read it twice. It's all good. And then Dusty Country Garage. Hi, y'all. What's up? Thanks for joining me again. Do you have a solution to a fuse box burnt up on a Chevy Equinox 2008 V4? I have no idea. The solution is probably get a new fuse box. Probably call up a local wreck yard and get one and pick one, and probably gonna have to rewire it. That would be my best guess. Depends on why it got burned up. So it just didn't burn itself up. So when is the last time you did exhaust gaskets, since that goes through more heat cycles than your intake? So this, I've never done an exhaust gasket on it, and it doesn't have any issues. I had in my wagon, I did a bunch of exhaust gaskets, and I used copper and the aluminum and every kind you could think of, and I had these headers that all they did was leak. And what I did with that is I went to, not Summit, not Jegs, but Speed, whatever that other one is. They had a 2.5-inch ram's horn. I ported the wheel out of those and bolted those on, and that was the last time I did it. Let's see. When is the last time you did exhaust gas? Okay, double again. There we go. That's what I did. So yeah, I haven't done them on this thing. This has got the Hooker Super Comps, and they work good. Clean them up should be no problem at all. That's for sure. Let's see. Well, I guess if coolant flows everywhere, that's good solution. So yeah, so what it was is these bolts, you can kind of see it on here. I haven't cleaned it up yet, but they were coming through these bolts, and it was just all back here. It was just all muddy and just kind of been loose for a while. And who knows if it had been leaking for a while or what, but it wasn't hitting the floor, so I didn't notice it. So One day when I moved it the other day, I saw, oh, there's a puddle of coolant. That's not good. So I fired it up and it looked like it was dripping off the head. And I'm like, that's really not good. And then upon further review, I discovered that it was coming through those bolts. Speedway motors, there you go, there you go. Cleanup should do okay. That's double wiring over the phone, nearly impossible. Ha ha ha. And isn't that the truth? Yeah, I think if it's a burn up fuse box, you start with that and get a new one and figure out why I got burned up. Well, I guess if coolant, okay, we got that. Speedway motors, yep. There you go. Yeah, exactly. In Poland, they drive a Ford Focus 1.6 from 2003. I really like it. It's a very durable car. Yeah, that's cool. That's probably not my jam. If it's a newer car, it's probably a Toyota. If it's an older car, it's a Chevy. But I've had this thing with these Volkswagens lately. I've been looking at a lot of them online, and I've never had one, but they've piqued my interest. We'll see. We'll see where we go with this. But this car is going to stay. So that's my car. So that one can't go anywhere ever. So my grandkids can decide what they want to do with it. Let's see. And then somebody said, Sock Somed, Ford isn't the best to rely on. Well, like I said, each his own. Plenty of guys like those cars. Plenty of guys like Chevys, and there's even a few people that like Dodge. So yeah, to each his own. I am obviously a Chevy or Pontiac guy. That'd be my first go-to. I really like those GTOs. Those are really cool. With the 389s in them, they're one of my favorites. The Pontiac Safari is cool. It's like a Nomad. That one's going to get an LS in it. It's going to get a 6.0 and a 4L80E, which is sitting right outside here. Currently, this thing got a 383 stroker in it. I got to get it ready so I can start car shows and just kind of have a car to cruise. So that's what's up. Anybody got any suggestions on these intakes? Anybody had the Performer RPMs? They seem to work good. Like I said, proof is in the pudding on this one. There's a little high spot on this aluminum here, but it come right off like a little nick or something. All gone. So yeah, that's the little bit here too. So you can kind of take it away with a little bit of a scraper. Just don't be aggressive with it. And if you get a little nick, you kind of feel them all, make sure they're all smooth, and then come and just kind of hit them like so. They get, who knows over the years what gets done with them. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're getting it cleaned up and making a decision. I ended up talking to CVF today on the phone, and I bought a serpentine belt for this thing, just an alternator only, a mid-mount, and I run an electric water pump in there, and we were having some issues a couple years ago. We thought the water pump was out, and it actually was not out. It was actually a fuse, and my dad had sent me a new water pump, and it's been sitting in the box, and it's brand new. Look how shiny it is. So that's going to go on there. We're going to put that on there, and that'll be kind of cool. So yeah, it's all dusty from sitting in the box, but yeah, a brand new one. There we go. And then I ordered the kit, the serpentine belt kit for it. So it'll have a nice single alternator serpentine belt, mid-mount. I'm going to polish the head on the front of it. And then we're going to, I think I might paint this black. So I'll have black engine, black valve covers, aluminum heads, black intake with that black and silver carburetor. Just a lot of silver and black. I don't know. I may paint aluminum because it's dingy. After I get done cleaning it up, we'll see what it looks like, but I'll probably put paint on it. They wipe off. They look nice when they're painted. I know a lot of people frown upon them. Whatever. I don't care if they frown upon it. It looks good, and it's easy to care for. Down the road, you just wipe it off. The way I do it is I use an engine heat paint, and then I get the manifold nice and hot, put it in an oven in the house. My bride loves that. She thinks that's the greatest. So I throw it in the oven, get it nice and warm, spray the aluminum on it, and then throw it back in the oven and cure it. And it really sticks to this really well. I never have problems with them peeling up or doing any of that stuff. So Done it for years, whether it go black. And if I do black, what I'll do is I'll take and I'll put that on there. And then these Edelbrocks, what I'll do is I'll come back with a board and some sandpaper, hit it flat, and then hit it flat on here and take all this writing off so it stays silver. And I'll actually do that prior to it so it's really nice and flat. Then I'll paint it and I'll come back and hit it again so these things will pop out. Some detail work I like. Now the other thing I do on them sometimes is I'll just take the insignias off them with a die grinder. Let's see, I like Chevys and Dodge Durangos from the older models. Durangos are cool. You know, they come with V8s in them. That's kind of cool. A lot of those smaller trucks didn't have V8s. You know, Dodge has always done something. Chrysler's always done something that all the other manufacturers tend not to do, which is one thing I do like about Dodge. The one thing I don't like about Dodge is you have to have a tow truck because you tend to break down a lot. Come on, now if you're Dodge guy, it's kind of funny. So that's basically what's going on here in the shop today. Other than I have a bad limp because I got gout again. Gotta love the gout. But I'm getting over it. I'm not just sitting on the chair. So I'm actually standing up and actually able to do some stuff, which is pretty nice. So any other questions or comments on intake manifolds while I'm sitting here working on one? Trying to get all the little spots cleaned up on it. At least that's the plan. And it's amazing when you do a little prep, clean all these little burrs up, how well things work out. I won't be able to do the die grinder while I'm talking live because it'll make too much noise. So anybody else have any questions out there about this stuff? Go ahead and put it in the comments real quick. Marvin, what are you working on? You working on anything cool today? Let me know. I got to know. Inquiring minds want to know. And then my hats are being embroidered, so I got my rain hat off because it was raining out there. And I had to do some fixing. Our cattle, we have I say cattle like I have a bunch of cows, like I have a bunch of steers and bulls and all that. We have 3, and they're soon to be 0. They're gonna meet their maker and end up in our freezer, and their damn water is leaking, and it's shared between the horses and the cows on both sides. The damn thing's flooding the freaking yard. Never fails. If you want to do some work, buy property, and then bring in animals. So, and that's what I had to do. So I thought, well, now I can clean up this now that I'm done doing that. Now that I'm done fixing stuff. And yeah, so if you just tuned in, what I'm doing here is this intake. I'm going to drop on a spacer like so, and a Holley XP carburetor like that. That would be the plan. And then hopefully with a little bit of port work and a little bit of matching and a little bit of taking out that little divider wall, we get a little bit of top end. And yeah, so this Holley XP is a very expensive carburetor. I did not buy it. My father had bought it. And they're not cheap. I don't know if you guys have ever priced them. Boy, this thing needs to be cleaned up. It's dirty. But they are spendy. But they work good. This car come alive with this carburetor on it, like night and day. It really run good. Really happy with it. So yeah, we'll just clean up the aluminum on it and we'll make it look all nice and shiny and pretty. So yeah, that's the plan. In fact, we can do it like this. Throw a couple bolts in it so it don't slip around. And then I can get it all polished up while I'm sitting here. Worked on a 64. Oh, I'm gonna get closer since I don't have the vision like I had. Worked on a 64 bug yesterday. Oil pressure sender went bad. All right, that's cool. So you got that thing running then? I take it. And then, oh, I skipped somebody. Oh, I skipped a bunch of people. Hold on. Let me get you, since I skipped you. Sorry about that. Ever consider switching to those EFI systems? So I have considered it. They're expensive. Start putting camshafts in things, and yeah, this thing runs good like this. So yeah, I've considered it. And I've run fuel injected motors before, but I like the Holly. Let's see here. Then we got George. I just love the new shows on YouTube about all the cars for sale, hot rods. I lie to sit and dream. I like to sit and dream, I'm sure. If I had lots of money, boy, I'd buy me a car. Well, if I had lots of money, I'd buy me all the cars. So mine's just a collection over years. How long have you been repairing this car? So this car is not, this car is running. It's a running car. It's not a project. It's been together for years and years and years and years and years. I tore it apart a couple weeks ago because it had a water leak, and I'm slowly getting it back together. I need to get on it and finish it. So just a little while. Marvin, okay, I worked on the bug yesterday. Very cool. Got the oil pressure sending. Let's see, then are you building a tank? Oh, I'm building a 55 Chevy, not a tank. Yep, all good now. Cool. Does that car run? Because I know run and drive. I know it's because not too long ago is when you picked it up a few years ago, if I'm right. But years fly by pretty quick for me. Marvin, someday when you're old like me, you'll understand. What's it like to be young like that? Let's see. Summit Sing, my AC not working properly. I don't know about it. It's hard to diagnose it over the internet. And then says hi, hello, and then haha. It said he'll something, and then a message retracted. But anyways, hello. Is it, make sure it's blowing air, all that good stuff. Fuse is the first to check, and then you work your way down. It's probably got a leak. It's probably leaked all of its Freon R12, R34, whatever they put in that stuff these days, or whatever your card is. It's probably not in there no more. And it has a leak. That would be my guess. But again, it's just a guess because I'm on the internet, way, way, way. And I'm looking for some stuff. Where is it? I keep all these old cans of crap. And you never know where stuff gets put anymore. Well, hopefully I can find it. Let's see. Where did it go? Maybe that's it back here. Nope, that's grease. Don't need grease. Where did it go? I see it. I found it. I was gonna get to it. Got it. Nope, that's not it. I thought that was it, but that's not it. I can't find it. Where did it go? If you guys see it, let me know. Huh. Well, it's disappeared forever and ever and ever. And ever and ever and ever. Well, what I wanted to do ain't going to happen because it's gone. So I was going to polish this, but it took off. All right, so, oh yeah, it runs good. Put a 2007 cc in. It runs great, just don't drive it much. Oh, okay, that's cool. So Keith Hill, what's up, Keith? Keith trying to replace the brake cylinder per wheel on the 61. He not happy. Well, if he replaced it, he should be happy. Random question, got an opinion on those 2.4 turbocharged engines? Nope, I have no opinion on them. I don't know anything about them. So I don't even know what 2.4 turbocharged motor you're talking about. So I have no idea. All I know is I'm missing my mother's polish. That's what I do know. If I could just find my mother's polish, maybe my mother has it. Because it is mother's polish. That is a bummer. Because as we know, that stuff's expensive. So who knows? All right, well, I guess I'm not gonna polish the carburetor today. So I'm not gonna sit here and just polish it. Any other questions about car stuff? Hey Marvin, what color is your Volkswagen, your Bug? Actually, this kind of polish, look at that, kind of polishes up pretty good. Not bad. It's amazing how well it does. That's making me mad where that mother's polish went. Maybe it's in my shine bag. My car show bag. It could be possible. It could be here. Ha ha, look at that. We have discovery. There we go. I found it. So while I'm sitting here talking to you guys, ooh, that thing's kind of ugly. Have to get me a stir stick. I got a really nice snap-on stir stick. It's called a screwdriver. You must have never adjusted wheel cylinders for each shoe. Oh, okay, I get that. I get what you're talking about. Chris Fisher, what's up? How are you today, Chris? Yeah, no, I've adjusted those. And without a rack. Oh, did I mention a rack would be right here? I got to throw that out there. So, yeah, this stuff, it separates over the year because I haven't used it all year. So it was kind of like separated, but it all stirred back up. Let's see here, Martin. I think it is sea blue factory color. So is sea blue, it's more of a lighter blue like this, or is it a darker blue kind of like your original Volkswagen that we used to drive around that had the coolest gas pedal ever and the coolest little steering wheel? It's funny I can remember that. Because that was more of a darker blue. Doing good. How are yourself? I'm doing good. Getting over what they call gout. I get it. I was able to fight it off for the last 5-6 months, but it come back with a vengeance, and I've had it since Friday, and today I'm finally up moving around, so I could actually stand and do some things. I probably should just be sitting, but I can't sit still much longer. So I'm out here just working on this little intake, getting it cleaned up, and I figured while I'm sitting here BSing, I would do a little polish on this aluminum part of the carburetor, so it all look, yeah, see how nasty it gets. Ooh. Yeah, so it turns out good. You just do a little mother's polish on here, and it'll be under the air cleaner for the most part, but you'll still see it. You'll still see the front of it. Let's see. Dark blue, almost same color as the old car. That's cool. I like that color. That's a cool color. That was a cool little car, no doubt about it. And then it's raining. I got my rain hat. So, you know, I've been wearing those other hats, and the lady is now embroidering. I'm going to have, where it's on backwards, it's going to have my little Levi mark, and then on the other side, it's going to have my emblem, kind of like what I have for my stamp. So that I can stamp that we sell soap, and actually Tori makes the soap for me, and she actually sold a bunch of bars this last weekend, and then a couple to a friend of mine. He's on here all the time. Rob is. He bought a couple bars, and then so she's doing pretty good with this beef tallow soap. Very odd that it's not odd. That's how it used to be made. Made from beef tallow, and so she's been making it for us for a long time. She had a little pumice into it, and it's very exfoliating, I guess is the word. I gotta get these words right. Exfoliating. It's very exfoliating. But it takes, you know, the dead skins off, and it's really good on your hands when you get them dirty. It works really, really well. In fact, she's done well with it. She's done really well with it. So just having it out there, we just started to put it out. It'll be for sale on my channel, and we're calling it knuckle scrub for my stuff. So it's great. It's great stuff. She's made different kinds, but mine will have a lot of the pumice in it. Put your polish in the fridge. We'll keep them from separating. I was having the same problem, Marvin. I don't think my bride was going to like mother's polish in the fridge. I have a feeling she'll balk at it. She's already going to probably not really be super happy with me putting this intake manifold in the oven. But I don't know about the mother's polish in the fridge. I might try it. See, I don't know if she's on here or not. She might be watching. So if you're watching, plug your ears. I'm going to put the mother's polish in the fridge. And she's like, what is that? I'm going to say, oh, that has to stay in there so it doesn't spoil. That's a good idea, though. I didn't know that would happen. This sucker polishes up good. I got to tell you, it's shining up. I don't want it to fall off here, but it shines up nice. Gives me something to do while I talk about what we got going. And I don't know if you're on here, Marv, but I bought a serpentine belt for this, the mid-mount from the CVF guy. He's out of Minnesota, and it's a billet piece with it's got the fan for the alternator. It's going to be mid-mount, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to polish the head of the front of it. I'll just take my little buffing. I have a little wheel on my die grinder, and I'll buff that head up on the front flat part. I'll leave the cast part alone, and then I'm going to put the mid-mount on there with the 8-rib serpentine belt, and all I'll have is the alternator and this electric water pump. I don't know if you were on here when I showed this, but we had a little issue with the other one that's on there. It turned out to be a fuse, but my dad had bought and sent me. Well, it's got different places you can put it too. That's kind of cool. Anyway, so it's got the CVF. It's backwards because of the way the camera's set up. But it is a nice piece. So that'll go back on. This kind of screws, and you got to put some, thread sealer on it. But like so, yeah. It's long-winded too, yeah. So you can put it on this side or this side, depending on what it's going on. But yeah, it's a nice setup. So I get that on there. Like I said, I'm going to get his low mid-mount alternator bracket, because whoever did the bracket on this thing, forever. My dad didn't do it. It was done years and years before him. It's funky. It doesn't throw a belt, but it's like 5 brackets, and it's just hideous looking. So driving me crazy. And it wasn't very expensive. I think it was like Well, I could have got the V belt for like 50 or 60 bucks, but the 8 lug serpentine was $231, I think it was. So it wasn't bad. And I had to buy the belt. Belt was 30 bucks, so definitely inexpensive. Yeah, laugh, LOL, yeah. She's a pretty good sport. She lets me get away with a lot. Sounds like your soap might help get the scratches out of your son's windshield, he mentioned. Yeah, it might. Yeah, so the soap has pumice in it, and her soap is all natural, so it has very few ingredients, and 99% of it is beef tallow that we render down, and we render it, and then we add her few ingredients she needs to add, and then so it's a very, very clean soap. I don't know if you guys have ever looked at soap, but soap has got every toxic chemical you could think of. It's unbelievable what's in soap, and we're rubbing it all over our bodies, and it's pretty bad stuff. Yeah, that will look nice, cleaned up. It will, and it needed it. The motor is kind of I don't want to say it was a dog. It's not a dog. It's just kind of like, it was just older and it just kind of ho-hum. It wasn't like popping, and I don't mean it doesn't need a bunch of eye candy. I'm not after all that, but I just wanted it to be cleaned up, Even like the intake is, dingy looking, just old, just from being used. It's not a show type car, more of a driver. So yeah, so I want to clean that up. I bought a couple other little eye candy things. I'm debating on the valve covers because I have a set of valve covers up here that I really like, but I don't know if it'll go with the theme of the car. The valve covers are on it, are right here. But look, I can almost walk without a limp. But those are the valve covers that are on it. And if Mike Jensen, if you're watching, you might recognize them. So I think I want to change this because they make one that has the same cast and it says Chevrolet on it versus that one. These work good, but I don't know, they're just kind of dated a little bit. But I have a set of chrome ones that I really like on the wall. They're brand new. And they are right there. Let me turn this thing around. I just like these. So I have those. We have those too, but they don't have breathers in them, so I'd have to do something with that. But these are sharp looking when they're on the car. I also have that air cleaner too. But yeah, that's what I want to do. I don't know. I think I might just leave the black ones and do something with the intake, paint it black, and kind of go more of a black look to it. We'll see how that transpires. Let me turn it around here again. So yeah. Oop, camera's not happy. I did too much moving. I had to put the microphone on because this gimbal, what it does, it gets very angry. It makes noise, so you hear it on the camera. But yeah, so that's the plan. What cars? Let's see here. Where am I at here? That will look nice and clean. Okay. Make your mother's windshield polish. Yeah. That car behind you is so good. I love it. Thank you. That's a neat car. It was my dad's. He's still alive, by the way. Hopefully he's watching, he's liking and subscribing and doing all that stuff. But yeah, that was his. Now it's mine. And I'm just putting some of my little touches on it. I didn't talk to him today, but I talked to him almost every single day about little things I wanted to do to it and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if I'm getting his approval, but he's hearing about it. So, and then Yo, what's up? And I don't know how to pronounce all that. Shakleem. What's cracking? We're just out here working. Austin Martin D11 or Austin Martin Vanquish. I don't know anything about Austin Martins. I have no clue. Austin Martin is foreign to me. I mean, I know what they are. Short of that, yeah, you're talking a foreign language to me. I'm actually trying to learn about Volkswagens right now and the differences between the years and I was talking to Marv, who's on here right now, about the difference in the windows. Everybody knows the split window, everybody knows the oval window, blah blah blah. And I think like 58, they went to the bigger back window, but the side windows in the front windshield actually grew over the years. But Marvin told me that the doors stayed the same. Interesting. And then you see a lot of guys will drop that wing window out. I've noticed they'll take that wing window. I like the wing window. I think the smoker window is kind of cool. That's what I call it, smoker window, because as a kid they open it up and they had the smoker window. So that was why I call them smoker windows. Or their air conditioning. Open them up, there you go. Drive 55 miles an hour and now you got air conditioning. Or 80 miles an hour or 103 or 118. Yeah, so this mother's polish works good. It would work really good in the refrigerator if you're watching, Tori. Think how much better it'd work. She hasn't commented, so I don't know. She was down making more soap because she was so successful with her soap this weekend. And we were successful on the channel, so she had to make some more because it takes a little bit to cure. That's something I did not know about soap. It gets better over time. Now, how much better? It seems like a couple weeks into it, it's fine. I haven't noticed a difference after about a week or so. Right when it's poured, and then you start using it, you're like, not very good. But then in a couple days, it's like, whoa, this is like a different bar. It takes a little bit to cure. Now, whether it gets better a month from now or 2 months, I don't know. It gets really good after about a week. That's about the difference I noticed. So she has to let her stuff cure before she puts it for sale for about a week. Or when the stuff that she was given for testing away, we have to wait about a week. So she's making it now. And she has enough for this weekend, hopefully. And then hopefully the next weekend, this stuff will be ready to go. At least that is the plan. It's all in the plan. But yeah, this mother's polish is pretty cool. I don't know if you guys use mothers, but it's kind of messy and it kind of turns everything black, but it definitely works good. So that's what we got going today. Nothing more, nothing less. Just finishing up around the shop, trying to get this. There's a little spot here driving me crazy on the top of this thing that I want buffed up, but it's getting there. It will get there. If I put a little bit more elbow into it. So does anybody else have any other questions or comments or anything about these intakes? Anybody have any experience with the single plane Victor Juniors over these dual plane Edelbrock Performers? While you have a clean aluminum intake, fetch some clear aluminum wheel cool spray can, auto parts store. Keep it nice. Yeah, no, what I'm doing is this thing's gonna hit the dishwasher. I'm gonna get it all cleaned up, and in the dishwasher works really well. Yeah, it's but I do have some of that cool stuff right here. Maybe I don't. I might be out of it. I thought I did. I must be out of it. But I will probably paint the intake. And I'll bake it in the oven, get it nice and hot, and then I'll put engine aluminum paint on it, or black, depending on what color I want it, and then spray it on, and it freaking sticks to it like glue. And then it's easy to clean up over the years, especially if you get it down, if you prep it really well, get all the oils out of it, then over time, it really, really performs rather nicely, and it's easy to clean. And it stays clean forever. And I know it's kind of taboo to paint aluminum, but I like them clean and nice looking, and 99% of the people will never ever know. In fact, most people will never know if you do it right. You can definitely screw them up, but I think this intake may be black. Black with the 12-point bolts on it. Give it a good look with those valve covers, so I think it would look sharp. Because these are the valve covers on there. Whoop. That was them. I think I'm going to run them. I know they work good. They don't leak. And then Okima Bert said, hello, hello, hello. If you paint, only use engine paint. Yeah, that's all I use. So, I just got a message that says your federal tax return is a problem and the IRS text this message. Oh, I better get on that. I'm sure it's legit. I'm going to get my bank account number and my password. Because heavens forbid the IRS is after me, not the IRS. It must be successful because I get crap like that. I don't get it all the time, but I do get it. So they must do pretty good with it, because if they didn't, they wouldn't do it as much as they do. But yes, I will use engine paint. I actually did my dad's LS, or his 5.3, and then we painted the cast iron aluminum with engine paint. And to this day, people think it's aluminum motor. And then I painted the heads on that also. But then on the front part, I buffed them up with the mothers, actually. And then so it shined up, but the cast is all painted, and it's been in there 5-6 years, and you cannot tell. It works really good. Some of these little details I like doing. And I've learned over the years at different car shows and events and stuff, the problem is if you paint it clear, it turns yellow. I've seen guys do, and I was going to do that years ago. I was going to paint one of these manifolds so it stayed nice. I was going to clear it. And I know a guy that cleared it, and I'm like, shit, a year later, it's all yellow. It's terrible looking. It looks different. It doesn't look like aluminum. But yes, I am with you there, Keith, on using that ceramic engine paint. No FUX given. Hello, LOL. What's up? What's up? I wonder who that is. That's a pretty good one, though. I like that little name. And then Fat Guy Racing. I've met that guy. How are you, Chad? What's going on? Hey, there's a cab out here with your name on it. The price is right. So make me an offer on that cab I can't refuse. And almost an offer would be what I can't refuse. So let me know, because I know you got to have it. You can get the, what do you call, the title for it and do all that stuff. And I'm kind of over it. So I do have to get the motor out of it, still sitting in there. But other than that, it's all cleared out. Yeah, that's turning out pretty good. That thing's looking shiny. Look at that. Oh, you can see the reflection. Woo! I have a 84 C4 Crossfire injection. I want to get more ponies. What would you suggest? So I don't know what state you live in, but they call that Crossfire a ceasefire injection. They have lots of problems with them. That's why General Motors went away from them. They only get it for a couple of years, and then they were done with that. So those cars are pretty low in horsepower. You're probably going to have to put heads on it and put a carburetor and intake on it. That'll waken it up. You can buy pretty much any, Edelbrock sells a pretty good kit. You can put a camshaft, set of heads on it, intake manifold and all that, and that car will wake up right now. But short of that, heading to work. All right, Keith. Chad. All right, sounds good. Keith is right underneath you. Engine paint handles the heat and doesn't need primer. Primer is normally the glue. Okay, that's good to know. I've never primed them with engine paint, but I didn't really know why. I just never did it. And then they're in New York. So do you guys? Yes, they do. So do you guys have lots of smog then? If you have lots of smog, there's some tricks to get around smog. But you're kind of stuck. When you have something that has smog in it, you're kind of stuck. What guys will do is they'll put nitrous on it or they'll turbocharge it and pull it off when they go to the smog. But that's kind of your That's what you're up against. So you start spinning some boost to it, it'll definitely wake up whatever you got. The problem is that with the Crossfire, I keep wanting to say ceasefire, but with the Crossfire, they just don't support a lot of horsepower. They're just not very reliable. They're just, they look cool. Don't get me wrong, they're cool looking. But short of that, they're just kind of ho-hum. That's why GM went away from them. They went to that, I think it's the L98. Looks kind of like a Terminator injection. That stuff works really good. You can put big tubes on it and bigger injectors and really make them come alive. I don't know if they make anything for the Crossfire or not, but I keep wanting to say ceasefire. So you said LS swap wrong. I don't know what that means. Oh yeah, I do know that. Yeah, that'll change it. Just put an LS swap on it. Just be done with it. You're right. I did say that wrong. Took me a second. What's your thoughts about engine swapping a Grand National with a Hellcat motor or a Viper V10? So I'm not a big Dodge guy, so I think that's a bad idea. And especially if it's a Grand National, why would you not? They have plenty of performance parts for those. They can make those things run. They run hard. So I would not do it. But I think like Chad said, I said LS swap wrong. If I was going to do any kind of swap, it would be an LS. It'd be a 6.0 with a turbo on it. Classic car guy, what's up, what's up, what's up? Let's see. The clear coat on factory aluminum wheels does not yellow. I know, that's weird, huh? Because you put it on an engine, that stuff yellows, unbelievable. I mean, a buddy of mine did it, and I was like, what the heck? I mean, it turned like almost like copper color. It wasn't just yellowed, it was really weird. Yeah, but you're right, on those factory wheels, they don't yellow. Let's see. Thank you for your input. No problem. Drop a thumb. All right, cool. This is my input. 84 Corvettes are cool. Deep down, that's what I am, a Corvette guy. If I should have the New Balance shoes, and the C4s are one of my favorites because it's kind of when I was a kid. I remember I was working in Sacramento for my uncle, and we were working on a building downtown. And I was 15 years old, 14, 15, somewhere in there. And we went down in 83 and looked at that new 84 Corvette. And it was unbelievable. I thought, that's the car. I mean, I walked up, it was sitting in the showroom. I think it was like $25,000 if I remember right. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I could have 25, how could I ever get $25,000? $25,000 is what people damn near made in a year back then. And so I looked at that C4 and I was just like in love, and I've always liked them. People say they're dated looking, they're this, they're that, they're slow, they're this, blah, blah, blah. They're cool. At the end of the day, they're cool. I like them. I live in a state where, like Chad says, I can always LS swap it, and that would make it just a beast. But yeah, I'm a fan of them, a big fan of them. I even like that Doug Nash 435, whatever them manuals are in them. I just think they're cool. Not going to convince me different. C5 is probably my favorite of all time. A lot of people like the C2s and 3s, and I've had a bunch of C3s. I've had a bunch of Corvettes. But there's something about that C5 I really like. In fact, I go between the C5 and the C4 of what I like. The C4 is kind of hard to get into, but once you're in it, it's like being in a fighter pilot. It's like got the wall up on each side. You're sitting down in it. The seat wraps around you. Just cool. And they handle really well. The C4 is definitely I think it's the missed Corvette. I think it had a lot of bad reputation for a lot of years, and it's starting to really come on strong because they're cool looking. You put the right wheels on them, and yeah, I think they're a force to be reckoned with. But that's just me. I'm a Corvette guy, even though I don't own one right now. When I hit the lottery, or when Jimmy James' garage starts paying big bucks, I'll have one. I'll put it on my lift right here. See my lift, the one I don't have? And I can put it up in the air and have it up there, and when I want to take it, and the other reason I like the C5, and I do like the LS platform. I think that LS platform is a pretty neat deal. You know, they always run pretty good. And I know there's so many haters on the LS. I mean, I'm working on all small blocks, so don't hate on me too much. But and I do like them, but I kind of like a lot of things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think as I've gotten older, my passion or likes have changed a little bit. And, you know, I used to make fun of the Volkswagen guys. Now I'm like, I kind of missed the boat of that. You know, I made fun of the mini truck guys. Then I bought a mini truck guy. Well, shouldn't have made fun of them. Yeah, I should make fun of them, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so over the years, my tastes have changed. Motor swaps are fine, just don't swap brands unless it's a Hemi. Hemi can go in anything. Example is okay to put a Hemi in a 27 Ford Bucket T. Well, Keith, I don't know if that's true because people have been swapping Chevys into everything since day one. And obviously you are a Hemi fan, so that's what got you inspired. I think the rules have changed a little bit over the years. I think anymore guys can swap kind of anything, and it seems that they're more brand oriented now. Before, you'd never see anybody swapping a Ford into an old Ford. They always put a Chevy in it. But parts are available for all that stuff nowadays, so I think that's kind of changed the world a little bit. You know, back when we were kids, you couldn't get anything but parts for a Chevy. That's about all you get. Well, you get parts for Fords and Chryslers, but you didn't have enough wallet to buy them, so that's why there's so many Chevys around. But I think there's some motors you could put in anything. I got my ETA updated. I don't know. I got something coming from eBay. It's probably my serpentine belt for my 55. But yeah, Blasphemy's got a Hemi in his 55, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like it. I think he should have put a big. I like it. It calls it Blasphemy and Hemi, and I like the thing of it, but I think he should have put a Chevy in it. I think he should put an LS in it. But that's what is so great about it is we all have opinions on it, and no opinion's right or wrong, and that's a fact. Motor swaps are fine. Oh, we just read that one. Doesn't make it right. LOL. That's good. Let's see. Give no fucks is a lot of Fox bodies like the LS. You know, you see a lot of them Fox bodies with the LS in them. They were doing a lot of them Fox bodies of putting power glides in them things, you know, with different motors. Power glide swap was a big thing for a while until the LSs kind of took over. Now you're just getting LSs with overdrives and stuff like that. But, you know, now that parts are available for a lot of different vehicles, you'll see a lot of different other manufacturers or their own manufacturers. You know, I'm getting a lot of grief because I'm going to put that 6.0 in that Safari right there. And a lot of guys are like, oh, put a 400 in it, put a 380, put a 455 in it, put a 389 in there. You know, it's not Pontiac. Well, I hate to tell them, but Firebirds had LSs in them. So it is kind of a GM thing. So it would cross over. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to put a 6.0 in it. So it's just, to me, it's fun to talk about. In fact, I'm going to do a video. One of my next videos is going to be about etiquette of hot rodding. I've actually put a whole little, I want to say script together, but kind of, because I don't do scripts. I don't do acting bullshit. But a whole little outline of what we should do as hot rodders, as fellow hot rodders, and to respect it. And it's going to go into even to some of the stuff like the kids on the, with their Hondas and their little fart box cars and all that. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great video. It's taken me a lot to plan it out. I've been working on it for a few days while I had gout. And, yeah, so that's kind of the plan. I think it'll be a great video. Take it for what it's worth. That's funny. I love that Aaron. Aaron said, hello, hello, hello. That's funny how Aaron has now become Aaron to everybody. Old school was okay. Put a Cadillac motor in anything. That's true. Guys are putting 500 Cadillacs in everything. So, in everything. But the king of the swap is the small block Chevy. It'll never be surpassed because they swapped them into everything. And now they're doing the LSs. I actually like the LS with a carburetor. I think they're really cool when you have this kind of setup on them, on an LS. I think they're really neat looking. And, you know, these newer carburetors, they run really good. They're easy to tune. MSD makes a great box for it. It makes a great harness. It works really, really well. You know, these things have these little air bleeds in them. And these XP carburetors from Holley are just, and I'm not sponsored by Holley by no means, but they are performance guru. Holley's a performance guru. There's no doubt about it. I've had Edelbrocks. I got 4 boxes of Edelbrocks, and they're simple to work on. You can kind of get them to tune up and run anywhere, anytime, but there ain't nothing like a Holley. They don't run the same. They just don't perform as well. And I don't know why. They just don't perform as well. And you know that AVS2 with the angular boosters and all that good stuff in them. Even if you cut the choke horn off on them and polish all these, just like this is, you know, it's all polished and everything. God, you'd think it wouldn't make that big a difference, but these Holleys, I'll tell you what, they're night and day horsepower better. The old Barry Grants were, you know, I thought they were better than the Holleys actually. You know, they took a Holley platform and redid it. Edelbrock has now done this kind of carburetor design. Just something about them, just run. Damn it, Holley with the carbon fiber air intake. Yeah, so this one, so I have this, and then I'm running. So I have a full open top and bottom air cleaner, you know, K&N style. Then I'm running the aluminum top on it, all polished down, so it's just it's flat, so it's not, you know, it was kind of expensive for that bottom, but I have another top I'm buying for it. It's a cast black. It's gonna go on the top and have it, and if when I go to the drags, I'll put the other top on it. But yeah, so I got to polish. I should polish that up. You know, that needs to be polished. So yeah, it just fits really well. It's got to flow really good. I'm gonna dump it off here, but it should flow really, really well. It just lines up really nice. It's cool. Definitely cool. And that's the plan with that. Like I said, I'm just getting the carburetor just kind of polished up for the street, for the car show stuff, and getting it polished where I sit here. Plus, it looks cool on camera. But I don't know about these Holleys, why they run so good, but they do. They really, really, really do. This thing polishes up pretty nice. Didn't take much either. I'll get this side of it now. Make sure it's all polished up and looking good. Yeah, so any other questions about carburetors or LSs or intake manifolds? Anybody got any opinion? Hey, Keith, do you have an opinion on single plane Victor Juniors versus the Performer RPMs? Because I've considered putting the single plane Victor Jr. on here and taking off this Performer RPM, but all of the, like I was just watching Freiberger today and his Engine Masters and his squeeze, bang, blow channel, and they're not making any more power with the frickin' single planes. They are, let me take that back. They're making a little more power on top, but they're making less torque, almost across the board. And we all know torque makes them go. Horsepower is for show. Take that with a grain of salt because, you know, if you have 1,000 horsepower, you got 1,000 horsepower. I don't care how much torque you got. You know, and we all know it's a calculation. Torque and horsepower are one and the same. And, that's why they cross over at 5,200. And let's face it, it's a mathematical equation. One's how much it pulls, and the other one how fast it goes. So it's kind of one and the same. This car has a lot of torque. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. My plan is to cut the divider wall in it down 1 inch, just like the air gaps, because I found out that this is the exact same runners as an air gap, the Performer RPM. They just dropped the valley down in it and put an air gap in there. And so, I've been going down the rabbit hole on this thing. And they're virtually the same horsepower and torque numbers once you cut that 1 inch out of that wall. And then if you put a 1 inch spacer like I have on this, they supposedly perform pretty well. Now, I know about this manifold. This thing performs good, but I've always thought it needed a Victor Jr. because it runs out on top. It doesn't run out of RPM. It just runs out of, I want to say power. I think there's more there. One is torque and 1/8 RPM is fake horsepower. Yeah, that's the truth of it. Sometimes when you get it up there, when I'm at the drag races, though, this thing goes from, it's got a 4,500 stall. So it goes from a little bit of foot brake to 4,500 right now. And it's almost so quick out of the hole at the 411s and the traction that when you stab it, as soon as you're going through the lights, you're hitting second. And then it'll drop down, and then it winds up pretty hard. But it flashes up to $7,000, like right now in first gear. And then you hit second, run it up to 65, because that's about where it feels like the peak is, and then hit it again, you're through the light. But it seems like once it gets past the 8th, the car just lets down a little bit. It's pulling hard through the 8th, and maybe a little bit more than that. But it's running, what does it run? I think it runs 110, 112, somewhere in there in the mile an hour. But it's 60 foot times or 1.6. It's getting it. It just like for that kind of mile an hour and that kind of 1.6 time, and running 12 flats basically, it doesn't add up. It's got a lot out of the bottom. I could take a little from the bottom, put it on top, and probably put that car deep in the 11s, I'm thinking, because the mile an hour is kind of low on it for what it is. There's no spin. It just, boom, it's gone. These Mickey Thompsons really hook. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Once a lot of these numbers are real big on top with these single planes. They're making big horsepower. I wouldn't say big, but they're making 8 or 10 more horsepower on top with exchange with the dual plane. If you want an LS, buy a GM car. That's true. That is a true statement. Where are we at? I must have missed that, Keith, when I said that, when you wrote that. I don't know why that popped up there, but, And then, so, Tomas Antonio said, hi, hey, what's up? Glad you could join us. Working on my carburetor here and my intake, getting it all cleaned up, and I started to polish it because I can polish while we visit. And kind of just going over what we're doing. Keith here is participating as usual with all his great ideas, and I don't want to count them because he's the man. He's always got something good. That thing's all jacked up here. Yeah, I wish I could get these springs off. It would be a lot simpler. This thing's a pain in the butt. Yeah, that's will go like that. Yeah, I'm gonna screw it up. But yeah, I should just pull this thing off. It'd be a lot easier to manage. In fact, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to pull it off since we got the tools for it right here. Let's see. Up next with Lamar. What's up? What's up next? What's up next, Lamar? Hope your day is going great. Glad you could join the live. Keith Till V10 has the same torque as my Hemi 425 V10 at 3,000 RPM, Hemi at 4,500. Yeah, it's, Hemi and torque and horsepower, one and the same. They're just a different way to measure them. Oh, I don't have the right. I don't have the standard deal. Now, I was in a career where we used to have a Ford Expedition with a V10 in it, and it was a freaking dog. It was a freaking dog. And I had a motorhome with a V10, and it was a dog. It had a hard time passing anything but a gas station. And then I had one with a 454, and my 454 motorhome run good. It run really good, and actually got good mileage for all things. It was a smaller one, so that's probably why, but it actually did real well. It was a fuel-injected 454, and it run really well. Let's see if we got that undone. That was pretty loose. Easy enough. So where are we at here? Yep. Like we're talking horsepower and torque, all about the same in some ways. You know, you give up, a lot of times you give up torque, you get horsepower. A lot of times you give up horsepower, you get torque. And it all then changes with RPMs. Hey, there we go. That'll make life a lot easier. Now we're cooking. Oh, it's kind of done on that side. That's cool. All right, so that's kind of cool. This little bracket comes right off, and I don't have to fight the stupid thing. But this is I like this bracket. It has the double throttle bracket that goes, so it works good. Because you need the double springs for the drag racing. They're sticklers about that. Some things they're sticklers about. That's one of them. So this is just not sure how that one comes off, but it doesn't hurt nothing. Any other questions out there about what we're doing here on this beautiful afternoon? This thing buffed up good. This mother's polish works good. Needs to be in the refrigerator. Oh, then it won't separate. Yeah, looking sharp. I am very happy with it. So now off to the intake manifold. So that can come off. And that can be cleaned up. It's still squirting fuel out. We can get the intake cleaned up. And then off to the parts washer, the dishwasher. And then we'll get that all shined up. Classic Car Guy, I'm back. What did I miss? You missed everything. It was awesome. There was so much stuff going on, you have no idea. It was as much fun as you can imagine. I was just talking about the carburetor. Keith and I were talking about Dodge versus Chevrolet and Hemis versus LS's and all that good stuff. All the stuff car guys talk about. And the only thing I'm missing here is my pipe. I don't have my pipe and I don't have my hat. So that's the other thing you missed. I got my hats that I always wear. I'm getting them embroidered. And then, so now I just have my rain. It was raining out there, so I had to have my rain hat on. And yeah, that's about it, really. Just regular old car guy stuff that we debate about. And that's the part I love. Because everybody has an idea. So, Ernesto Tacos del Choricito. I don't speak Spanish. All I got is taco. You got me at taco. Did I mention what I love about tacos? I have one thing I love about tacos. Everything. I think we could solve all our political problems with every country in the world if we had tacos and beer. I think everything would go away. They would say, what about this nuclear deal? Here's a taco. Oh, okay. What about that? Here's a beer. Here's a taco. There you go. All solved. So when I get my appointment for governor and president and all that, I'm going to I'm going to make everything demanding that you have to talk about tacos before anything else. And then we'll see how everything else pans out after that. Because I think once you hit the tacos, we're done talking about everything. So let's see how sharp this one is, because that one's not very sharp. This stuff is on there. That must be the right stuff. That's one thing I don't like about right stuff. As good as it does, it sucks to clean up. So I hear my bride. She must have soap. Soap must be done. So where are we at here? Whatever Ernesto said, cool. And then more RPM, more CFM, more fuel. The more torque, less RPM, less fuel. Real horsepower takes more air, more fuel. My supercharged 340, you can literally watch the fuel gauge move. That's funny. You are right about tacos. Yeah. Yep. So definitely more fuel, more air. That's where those Hemis have really, over the years, those 426s, once they put a blower on them, they really come alive. They were a little sluggish because the size of the heads and just everything was so massively big, and they just couldn't get a lot of flow to them. But you start putting a squeeze on them, and boy, they just nothing like them. That's why the top fuel dragsters run them, because they can put a lot of pressure in there and it'll all fit. It's that point of diminished return. That's why a lot of the factory stuff doesn't have a lot of big holes and a lot of big ports and all that. People don't realize that most people don't go above 2,500 RPMs. And to get any kind of torque or any kind of performance out of them, got to have velocity to get that fuel and air in there. You know, and RPM creates a lot of flow, obviously. And a lot of people aren't spending their stuff to $7,000. And then Chrysler wasn't going to put a blower on a... They probably thought about it, though. Because there's one thing about Chrysler. They always did something a little different than everybody else. I don't know how they did it. Nobody else copied them. It was kind of interesting. They all copied each other a little bit, but Chrysler was kind of innovative back in the 60s and 50s and even into the 70s. And nobody else really does it like them, that's for sure. Well, this is going to be quite the job to clean up. It's been on here a long time. Ooh, yuck, that'll come off. So it's coming off pretty good on the backside here, where it was leaking like a sieve. It's all crusty and mushy. But see, when I was talking about port matching, you know, they say don't make a lot of power in port matching, but look at, I don't even see it on the camera here, but look how brown it is where it was just missing. You know, that means something was hitting there. I don't know. I think there's something to be said for it. I've never actually taken a motor, put it on a dyno, brought it off, port matched it, put it back on the dyno. So you're relying on other guys, you know, on what happens with it. But if you get 2 horsepower here and 2 horsepower there and 4 horsepower here, a couple horsepower there, all of a sudden you're at 15 horse, and that's a noticeable difference. That's feeling the seat of your pants. And I know why the factory doesn't, because they don't have issues down low. There's nothing to be gained down there because they're not flowing a bunch of fuel and air in it. But us hot rod guys, we always try to get every bit we can out of them. Any other questions or comments about a Victor Jr. over a Performer RPM? Of which way I should go? Like I said, I'm leaning heavy on just leaving this manifold and cutting that wall out. I got to get cleaned up anyways because, you know, like I was talking to my dad, if I buy a manifold, I can offset it with selling this, because somebody will definitely buy a nice cleaned up in great shape Performer RPM. There's something to be said for all the holes, you know, cleaned up and looking good, and nothing stripped and in clean, good shape. So it's not really a waste of my time until I figure out which way I'm for sure going. The other thing is the crossover. I didn't look and see if those heads have it, but it has it here in the intake. That's kind of different. Let's take a look while we're waiting to see another comment. Where are we at? Oh, they're blocked off. Nope, they got no heat crossover. That's odd. Because it looks like there was, it must just be oil. Yeah, it must be oil in there, huh? That must be interesting. Maybe I should fill that up. Keep the heat out of it. Or the oil out of it. Yeah, it dips down, huh? Uh-oh, don't get your finger stuck. Tulu chat, what's up, Tulu? Tulu TV, what's happening? Port Mansion is the cheapest horsepower gain you can get. Turbulence is a killer. And it would, I mean, look at it, because, I mean, that's what I've always said. That's why I've always done it. You can see where that thing was, look right there, where it's discolored. You know, obviously that port, they're all like that. All those edges are like that. So I have an interesting story about porting heads. Back in the early 80s, or mid 80s, I had a GM. A lot of people that follow me know that I went to all the GM stuff, and we got scholarships out of high school, me and 13 guys. And anyways, long story, but we get to that part of the engine class that we're at the training center doing this. And it was at a college, and they kind of took over made the auto shop there a training center for GM. And so we had an engine shop. And so the guy there was a big hot rod guy that taught engines. His name was Mr. Green. And he traveled around, you know, Laguna Seca and that kind of roundy round stuff. And he was also a Ford guy, even though I worked for GM, which is kind of weird. But he's a hot rod guy. So what we did mostly is we did some theoretical stuff and, you know, basic engine building and all that. But he was always says the magic's in the heads. And so he taught us how to port heads. And of course, my very first set I ported, I put a hole in them. I was going big or go home, and it was a set of camel hump, the best GM heads you could buy at the time. And I put a big old giant hole right in the frickin' exhaust. Just going too far. And it's amazing how, you know, when you're 18, 19 years old, how you can screw stuff up quick. And that's what I always tell people, because I've ported hundreds of heads since then. And he always taught things like, and I'll never forget, you know, think of it as a river. You know, river flows nice and smooth. Everything's smooth on the bottom, smooth on the sides. River trucks right on down. Once you have curves, once you have rocks, once you have bumps, think of that on these. On the heads and, you know, intakes and everything else, the way it flows in there. And he's right. And if you think about it, and if you look how they design things, they have that in mind. You know, the torquer manifolds are a great example where they go and then they take a shot into the head. So basically it's coming out of the torquer going into the heads. Well, where does that air run? Right into the sidewall. And it creates a turbulence. It screws it up. It doesn't work very well. People think it works pretty good because it mixes up and it kind of gives a little bit of a low end performance. But once you start spinning them, they can't flow the air. That's why Edelbrock, and then like this, you can see these are, especially on the bottom side, you know, look at that curve. That is a nice, smooth curve. You know, these are nice, smooth turns. All of them are very nice and smooth turns. There's nothing that's sharp angle. They're just gradual. And that's the best way. I mean, straight shot is the best. But the gradual turns, you know, you're going to have to turn it at some point. In the perfect world, it'd be straight in, straight out, and that's where Hemi shines, because it's pretty much in and out. But these small blocks and smaller engines, you got to turn them. And he would say anything that's in the river, he goes, think of it as a million BBs trying to get through a hole. And if there's pinch points, if there's bumps, it pushes into it and it doesn't flow. And he was always, you know, good at really just describing it well. And I'll never forget that's what he said over the years. You know, it's like every time I touch something, and he was big on, hey, you don't need to hog them unless you're 19. You just need to clean them up. You know, these manufacturers, for the most part, know what they're doing. I mean, they flow them. A lot of research and development in them to get them to go. You come in with their casting, you know, they don't do it because it's mass production. So like I can feel in this little port right here, I feel this big rib in there. You know, that with a die grinder goes away instantly. And does it give me more flow and more horsepower? I would think so. So like I said, I've never actually done that with a dyno, where I put something on and then took it off and put it back on there. So I can't tell you for sure, but I can tell you every time I put together a set of heads or something, it runs. And that's just attention to detail. You know, make sure you get all the turns and all the bumps out of the road, and you're 90% there. Is there some masters that really can port heads? Oh, hell yeah, there is. And do they know every little thing? Yeah, they do it every day, sure. But the average guy can go buy a set of die grinders, bits, and some cartridge rolls and clean them up. And then they'll get into that, well, he polished it, and he didn't put enough this, and he didn't put enough sand, and okay, we're shaving hairs here. Clean up the big chunks, call it good. Heat risers required for proper atomization. You know, at low RPMs, you're right. It does take that because that stuff will puddle, but as you start flying down the road, that kind of goes out the window. That fuel's flying in there so much. I mean, that's exactly why they put all of these in there for street cars, all these bumps and grooves, because it keeps it from puddling. So as it's driving at 2,000 RPM, the fuel's just kind of dripping in there. And then once it hits there and it's hot, it sprays out and it atomizes going in. But for pure power-wise, those are in the way. And that's why single planes don't have them. They just have the V in there and you just have a flat, smooth floor. But this is a street strip car. I know if I take it all out, it'll run crappy on the streets and it'll load up and foul plugs and run like garbage. So, but yeah, so they left it here, but there's nothing in the head. So the atomization is for naught, really. There's nothing coming out of the exhaust to heat it up. It's just the oil that's sitting there. And maybe that's enough. Maybe enough of the oil getting in there, staying a little hotter, warms that floor up a little bit on this intake. That's definitely a thought. But those heads have no heat riser in them, so. And I thought they did for some reason, because I looked here, it looks kind of, all black in here, but they do not. So it's just oil that's sprayed up there over time that goes in there. But yeah, they must put the right stuff on here, because this stuff is a bear. I guess I could spray some of that gasket remover and get that silicone off there. Let's see here. Normally aspirated, open up the intake port, supercharged, turbo, open up the exhaust ports. Yep, that's a good rule of thumb, because it's pushing it in. You know, most of this stuff's pretty basic if you just use your, thought on it. When you're turboing it and you're putting pressure to it, it doesn't need much. It gets shoved in there. It doesn't care what's in the way. But then it's naturally aspirated on the way out, which wouldn't be aspirated, would it? It'd be naturally pulling it out. And I think because there's some overlap, there's got to be a little pressure going out too, but yeah. And I'm a big proponent of having as open of exhaust as possible. I've heard all the chatter, and I've done it all with the exhaust, and The more open your exhaust is, the faster your car is going to be. I don't care who it is or what it is. And they talk about back pressure and all this. And yeah, okay. They do it for noise. The more open it is, the better it runs. For power. I mean, I guess some low end will create a little, suction or whatever. Headers definitely work in unison with each other, but more open, the better. And the NASCAR guys kind of run into it because they have to run mufflers, so they run H pipes and merges and all sorts of stuff to keep that stuff flowing. They're a great one to look to for exhaust, because on the street we got to adhere to that stuff. But at the drag races, you don't see nobody running mufflers. They run a little extension on the header to keep a collector to keep that header pulling the pulses, and that's it. And the higher the horsepower they go, the less header they go. I mean, top fuel guys got a frickin' stack. Get it out. Get it open. And that's a lot of guys will say about the Rams horns. Oh, I got Rams horns as good as headers. No, it's not. Not even close. Let's see here what you got there, Keith. You are up north. Cold-blooded engine in the winter. Don't block off the intake heat riser. You would have run the choke full time. Yeah, that's true because it's cold. There's no doubt about it. But this car ain't running in the cold, so that's what it's not doing. And I don't have to worry about blocking it off because it ain't there. So the Edelbrock heads don't have any provision for it. I mean, they have a hole in the intake and there's just a flat spot on the head. So will there be a little bit of heat in there? Sure. But being blocked here, it was already blocked. There was a block over it. So, and this car is cold-blooded. There's no doubt about it. It does not want to warm up. But once it warms up and runs good. Yeah, when it's cold out, this car sits in the shop. That kind of cold. It's a summertime car. I don't know if I haven't seen it in a while, if any of the newer aluminum heads even have the crossovers in them, in the head. And it's raining out again. I can hear it. That means if I leave, I'm going to get wet. I'm not much into getting wet. Well, they got this freaking silicone on here, nothing but good. It's going to be quite the chore to get it all off. I might have to get some spray on here to loosen it all up. I hate to put a wheel on it because it tends to take some of the aluminum off. Doing it by hand is definitely a slower process, but it's clean. Florida don't get cold. That's true. Well, I guess it's true. I've never been to Florida, but I'm not thinking it gets cold. They'll say it's cold, but I guess they don't know what cold is. It's raining. It's making lots of noise on the metal roof here. So my little shop here has a metal roof on it. When it rains, it gets loud. Yeah, it's raining pretty good. You guys probably can't hear it because I got my microphone on, so it's not picking up a bunch of the external noise. That's why I did it. So I had enough juice on my phone, so I figured I could run the mic and make the sound quality better, because I noticed when I just use the iPhone microphones, it's definitely not as nice a quality. It pops and buzzes, and I don't know, it just doesn't do it. I think because of this gimbal, it makes a lot of stuff. You've been to Cali? I have, and I'll tell you what, where I lived in California was as cold as it is here in Idaho. But I've also been to Redding, which is the hottest place on earth, along with the frickin' desert. But yeah, in the Sierra Nevadas, in fact, they asked me when I moved to Idaho, they're like, hey, how's he doing? Because you come from California. I'm like, California I come from, the Donner Party didn't make it over the hill and they ate each other. So, yeah, I'm well aware of the cold. I mean, I worked in a place that we'd go out at nighttime. If you had to open up the doors, you had to take a lighter with you and heat your key up to get it in the frickin' hole. Because they would freeze up the locks. And the wind would blow frickin' sideways. Cold, cold, cold. Well, Northern California is a pretty cold place. Especially here in the Sierra Nevadas. It gets real cold up there. Not in the foothills of the Sierras, but you get up in the mountains where we were at, a Truckee in that direction, near Reno, Susanville, all that, Alturas. Those places get cold, cold, cold. That Great Basin where the Sierras meet the Great Basin, it is no joke. So let's see. Small block Chevy, that's one. So we're considering, are we going to run this or am I going to run a single plane? A Victor Jr. or even in, you know, that Wheelin, whatever you want to call it, Wheelin air gap one that Summit makes. The tests on those show them as good as that air gap Edelbrock. We've been going back, horsepower versus torque. This thing makes a ton of torque. I think the plan is right now, but I change my mind like I change my underwear every other week, you know. This intake, former RPM, cutting down this wall, 1 inch, gasket matching and cleaning up all the gunk, you know, from the castings, that kind of stuff, and then running this 1 inch spacer on it. So space the bad boy up and give it some breathing on top and a little bit more airflow. Will that do it, you know? Let's see. Oh, absolutely. So do you have an opinion on the single plane Victor Jr. versus the Performer RPM Edelbrock or even that Wyan? And the reason I say that, it's made by Summit and it's cheap. And I'm not really into cheap. Cheap doesn't really like, oh, it's cheap, I got to buy it. But if I'm going to buy one and it's the same exact intake and one's half the price, you know, I'm definitely, I don't care if it has Vic Edelbrock's name on it. I'll be honest with you, until Vic starts supporting me, because God knows I've supported Vic. So hopefully he starts supporting me and then I will definitely be brand loyal. Got no problem, exactly, yeah. So it says, let me back up here. Keith, in Boston, my garage freezer froze and died because 35 below zero was too cold for my new freezer, not warranty. You know, that's what we had a refrigerator here in the garage this year, and we're like, what is all this coming out of it blew up all the cans, it blew everything up. Yeah, so we've been down that road. Yeah, that people don't realize that freezers they have to be at above temperatures. It's funny, because you wouldn't think of it. We thought of it the hard way, and we had explosions inside. Let's see here. And Boston, I've never been there. Farthest east I've been is I've been to Cleveland and Canton, Ohio, and I've been to Chicago. But that's it for the most part. Got no problem with Summit at all. Exactly. So yeah, so I checked on the Summit intakes pretty closely, and they're made by that Wheelin' Wyland Holly, basically is what it is. And they got good numbers on them, guys that have tested them. Now I'm relying on people online because I don't have any personal experience with that intake. And so here's my dilemma. This freaking car runs high 11s, low 12s. It's got a 160 foot time with a stroker motor in it. I didn't build it. Been in here forever. And it Runs good, doesn't burn oil, none of that stuff. Had a little water leak on the back of this. The gasket just failed, no big deal. And we were told it was a roller 383. It's not a roller. It does have a big cam in it though, and you can hear the pistons in it, so they must be forged. It does have good compression, you can tell, because it'll rattle on you. But what it is, I don't know. I mean, I know it's a 350 block. Is it a 350? They said it was a stroker motor. I'm going to have to take another look at the balancer now that I got it halfway apart again. See if it has an externally balanced or whatever it is. But it's a screamer. It's got Edelbrock Performer RPM heads on it. And somebody ported the crap out of them, and they look good. Not that they just make them big, but it was done well. The bowls are all cut inside. You get down there with a flashlight and look at them pretty close, and they look great. Somebody did a lot of work to it. That's why this thing runs. So my problem is this thing is, to me, it feels like it needs more on top. When you get towards the end of the big end of the track and it's running hard, it doesn't lay down, but it doesn't feel like it has what it does down low with all that torque. This thing pops out of the hole like nobody's business. 1.6 60-foot times. It's a beast. My dad actually said he was racing one guy in this thing a couple years ago, and he said he had that guy by 3 or 4 car lengths at 8th track, and the guy walked around him on top. He had a 10-second car, but he said, he goes, I thought I was never going to catch that car, because this thing really does, for what it is. I mean, there's a lot of guys running 1 second 60 foot. So in perspective, for what it is, it's all down low. It's fun to drive on the street, because when you're next to somebody and you stab this thing, you're going to beat them. I always call it Volkswagen fast. This thing leads like a damn Volkswagen. It just hooks and books. So I don't want to kill the bottom end, but I feel like I could give a little bit up. So that's why I've been looking at the Victor Jr. The problem is when you look at those Victor Juniors online, you watch all the test guys have done it. You know, they've done it to death. It looks like it just absolutely kills the torque, and you don't really make up a lot of power on top until you're over 6,500. So I don't know that I'll gain anything versus just cutting this wall down and putting and I will gain because it'll look cooler. You know, there's a gain. I got to put that in perspective, because who doesn't like a Victor Jr. single plane sitting on top of your motor? It looks pretty good. Or do I do the Summit, that stage 3, what they call it, that has the air gap type setup. But again, I don't think the air gap, I'm going to gain much over this Performer RPM. I mean, I don't have like so much funds, it doesn't matter. It does matter. I'm not independently wealthy. I'd like to think I am, but apparently the bank doesn't think the same, or the house payment or the car payment, So that's what I'm just trying to figure out. I did buy the mid-mount alternator because I have an electric water pump on there already. I'm going to switch that over to the serpentine mid-mount, only running an alternator. But that's where we're at. Keith, my 413 has a Wind flat aluminum intake from the 60s. I used it to avoid paying for valley pan gasket cost. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I have not towed a trailer yet. I'll know soon. That's interesting, because they go back and forth with the short intakes, long intakes, short runners, long runners, all that stuff. I'll be honest with you, kind of what I'm thinking is with this gout, I've been on the freaking internet. Well, that's not good. A little edge there. I've been going down with this gout. I've been going down the internet rabbit hole. And what I've noticed is they're only really changing the RPM and torque and horsepower where it occurs, not making a bunch more total. There's some takeaway from that. Big cubic inches, big horsepower, there is some differences, but it doesn't seem like the intake manifold is making these drastic differences, which I found interesting, because I always thought it was a huge difference, and it doesn't seem like it's a major difference. If it pulls out 8 horsepower at, let's say, 6,800 RPMs, it lost 12 or 14 foot-pounds of torque down at 4,500, $5,000. And then if you look at the lines, it just kind of switches them around. It just seems like it just moves them on the curve. And argument's sake, you're only at, with a 4,500 stall, I'm only at 4,500 for that long. I'm in the power, 6,800, 5,800, 6,800, that 1,000 RPM. So seems like optimum would be the single plane, but this thing's good to 6,500. I don't know. And with the little work on it, it's probably still making great power at 68, $7,000. So, is the single plane worth the give up? Because you do give up bottom end with a single plane. There's no doubt about it. But you gain a little cool look. Basically what I'm trying to do is convince myself to run this. There's a little burr on this edge. Not no more. All gone. So yeah, like I said, I'm trying to convince myself this is the way to go. But I'm open to be convinced otherwise, that's for sure. And that's because this is on there. Part of me likes you got a little dual plane, run the 11s, Maybe I'll just have this thing machined out and put the old breather right here, the old open breather, and put some stock valve covers on it. But then I'd have to paint the motor. The motor's already black, so that'd be kind of a tough thing to do. All depends on use case and gears ratio, drag racing or towing. Two different uses. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. This is kind of what I'm getting at is on this car. 411s, weekend cruiser, car show, cars and coffee, drag racing, not a bracket car, not a every weekend type thing. What I really want to do with this is one of those drag and drives. I think it would be awesome to do a drag and drive with this thing because it just runs so good and it's just so manageable. Like I said, I don't know what size cam it is, but it's big and it sounds freaking wicked, which is cool. When you pull up somewhere, it has the electric cutouts, which is even cooler. You hit the button and it gets real loud real quick. I mean, it has full exhaust on it with crossovers and all that stuff and 2-chambered flow masters. So it's loud. It's out the back, but it's still pretty loud just buttoned up. The minute you hit that electric cutout, and it really gets loud. And that's probably because it has compression. It makes a lot of noise because a lot of compression. Just all fun stuff. It doesn't really matter. I'm not racing anybody that I have to beat. So there's not any competition here. There's not any... it's just what hot rodders do. Andy, do you support India? Support them in what? So I don't know what we're talking about with that. I think you're talking to me political, like there's something going on over there. I think there was something with them in Palestine or something. I support hot rodders. All that Fox and CNN and ABC, NBC, CBS, unless they're talking about a Hemi's better than a big block or a big block's better than a Hemi or that kind of stuff, I don't support any of it that on this channel. That's not what I do. That's not me. So if India has a freaking cool blown small block, I support them. If they don't, then I don't. You can always carry 2 set sizes of rear tires, cheat gears and change them. Hell yeah. So this thing has 411s. It is slow on the road. It has a 75, 60, 15. So it's got a big tire in the rear. It's a Mickey Thompson street. Oh, there's another little ding. That's got to come out. But I am going to most likely change the wheels and tires on this to those factory steel type at the caps. But I will keep these aluminums with these tires on it for drag racing. Before I go to the drags, I'll just pop the other tires off and drive it out there. So, but I want street tires for driving around this summer. And I don't feel like changing them off the wheels. And I'm not a big fan of these Krager aluminum wheels. They're the weird ones. They're the Bob Glidden edition type things. So you can kind of see them there. Yeah, they look like a weld wheel. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of those, but they're light and they're good for drag racing, so I will keep them for that. It doesn't take much to jack it up and swap them on. But I do like the steel wheels. I just like that steel wheel with that poverty cap. It's just kind of cool looking to me. Speaking of Chryslers, I just sent a buddy of mine a picture of one on a Chrysler, and he had some BF Goodriches on it. Or oh no, they had the Avengers, those Avenger white letter tires with the caps, and it was on one of the Duke Boy cars, and it just looked sweet. It was just a good looking car. You know, everybody has the 20s and all that kind of stuff. I like the old 15s myself. More of my thing, more of my jam. I like them kind of jacked up and back. I just think they're cool like that. Not to say I don't have anything different, because my wagon I just sold had airbags on it and laid on the ground, but I still had 15s and poverty caps on there. I just like the tire look. Not a big wheel guy, but I do like some of them. Let's see here. What kind of cars do you have in India? Else we don't care here. Ding. Do they have cars? I mean, they have cars in India, but do they do the hot rod scene, or the, hey, my Dodge is better than your Ford, my Ford's better than your Chevy, hey, I'm an AMC guy, your guys are all dummies, you know? I wonder if they have that there. I wonder if other countries have that. You know, we have it big time here. We got the big three. And then, you know, AMC's out there too, and some of the odd stuff. But, and Keith, you can attest to it. As you grew up, or we grew up, you Chevy, Ford, or Dodge guy. My tastes have changed over the years. I used to be 1,000,000%. If it wasn't a Chevy or a Pontiac, I could care less. I like some of the Cadillacs, GM basically. I didn't like the Fords or the Dodges at all. I have come to really appreciate those and really like those other manufacturers. Volkswagen is a great example. I was like, I don't know, it's just I liked them. They were kind of cool, but I just wasn't sure if it was my thing. And now I've really come to like the Volkswagen. I think it just looks, just has all the rounded body style on them and stuff. They're just cool. So like I said, over age, I've really come to appreciate the other vehicles. And I don't know if that's everybody, but that's just me. I don't know. But it'd be interesting to see if these other countries, you know, I know Germany does. I know Germany has a car scene. There was a guy that's been following my channel, and I follow his a lot, and he's always doing car show stuff. And they'll show a lot of German type cars, but then you'll see a lot of American cars there too at these, I want to call them cars at coffee, but little short, you know, car show things, meetups, you know, cruise nights, that kind of stuff. Let's see, my high school days, the Mustang ran 1450 series tires, hoping to be able to spin the tires with the 289. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's it. So my uncle in Sacramento, California, so that side of my family is all from Detroit. They all worked in the factories. They all did the Ford thing. And he was a diehard Ford guy. And one of his uncles that worked in Ford said, hey, there's this thing called the Mustang coming out. You need to buy it. Went on and on with him on the phone. Messaged him some picture, or not messaged, mailed him some pictures over the year, you know, over the post office, you know, and kind of told him what was coming, and you need to buy this thing. And he went down to the Ford dealership and he ordered one before they were even out. He ordered a dark green convertible one. And it was actually the first car, from what he tells me, because in '64 I was not with us. It was and I rode in it. I mean, I know the car. 64 and a half Mustang convertible. And it was the first one in the Sacramento area. And he was there because they had a shipment date, and he went down there and waited like a little kid. And he had all his paychecks. He told me the story a bunch of times. He had his paychecks because he was saving his paycheck. And he'd only cash when he needed to eat and drink and, you know, for food. And then he kept all the other checks. And he went down there to pay for the thing, and he brought checks. And they were like, hey, dude, you need to go cash these things, and what are we going to do with these? And he was like, huh, never really thought of it. Because he was a young man, he was a young guy like the rest of us were. And hey, if I put them as checks, I won't spend them because I'm buying my car with cash. And so he was a saver, and he was a very good with money. And so he, at a young age, his plans would be a millionaire by the age of 30, and he was well on his way. And so that's how he did it. Didn't think much outside the box, except if these are sitting in my drawer, they don't get spent. And my convertible Mustang, I could be the first one in town with one and be the guy. And my aunt, she had a convertible Camaro. Go figure. He had a convertible Mustang, she had a convertible Camaro. Kind of crazy. And I've rode in both those cars as a young kid. Kind of remember it. I was pretty young, but I do remember it. It was a clean car. My aunt in LA got a new red 64.5 convertible Mustang, but only the 6-cylinder. Yeah, his had the 289 in it. And I don't remember if it was a 4-barrel 289 or 2-barrel. I think it was a 2-barrel car. But again, kind of before my time, so I don't 100% remember, but I think it was a 2-barrel 289. My dad would know if he's on here, he might pop in and say, yeah, it was this or that. I know my dad was not a big fan of it, but my dad's a Chevy guy. I mean, there you go. He thought they were cheap and rattly and not much fun, not much power, so he was not a big fan of them. But he liked 09, so yeah, he liked those kind of cars. He'd like a Nomad with a solid lifter 327 in it. So different league than the old 64.5 Mustang. But they're cool looking. They're definitely cool, especially that green with the convertible. I bet the red was pretty sharp too. They were popular back then. I don't know how many made it, but they made a lot of them. They were definitely affordable and kind of a fun, sporty car. And they're starting to gain some value finally. You used to be able to buy them for nothing. I know not too long ago they were damn near given away. And I was kind of headed. I was going to buy a couple of them. I went and looked at a few of them and just never pulled the trigger on them because I knew they would take off. I was like, that's the next car to go. I didn't see the Dodge coming. I didn't see the Cudas and all that. I missed the boat on that one because those were not very valuable at one point. And now they're so valuable, you better take out a couple bank loans to get one. And they've been valuable for about 20 years now, like over the top, crazy. How the Chrysler products just absolutely skyrocketed. Because when I was a kid, you could buy a Camaro Mustang or any kind of Chrysler product, and the Chryslers were definitely worth less than all of them. That ain't the case now. I got a 84 Cutlass. I'm swapping a points 350, but can't find any headers. Any suggestions? Yep. So I'd run the 2.5-inch ram's horn from what do they call that? Speedway. You actually will not, and that's if you can run those on there. I don't remember how your crossover is on that car. On those Cutlasses, if they'll accommodate those, because they'll fit otherwise. And those 2.5-inch Speedway motors, Corvette manifolds flow pretty good. They're not a header by no means, but you probably won't notice the difference, to be honest with you. And if you just take a die grinder, clean them all up, because they have a lot of casting marks in them, but they're 2.5-inch, they're pretty good size. I had headers on a car I just sold. I had 327 in it at one point. It had 355 in it, but when I had 327 in it, I had a set of headers on it, had an air gap intake on there, had a set of fuel heads on it, marginal compression, and the headers, and had the I had the Race Venom Black Widow mufflers, real loud, had an H pipe in it. It run good. I wouldn't say it run great. It run good. It had decent horsepower. When I say it was great, it was decent. And I switched from the headers to this two because they kept blowing gaskets out, constantly blew gaskets out of that thing. Coming loose, I always tighten them, screwing with them constantly. So I said, I'm going to run the manifolds. And I switched over, and I never took that car to the drag. This has been in there a bunch, but never took that car to the drag. But I honestly could not tell the difference in power. What I could tell the difference is I never tightened another bolt ever again. The only time I tightened them was when I went to that 355, when I pulled the 327 out. And then I bolted them back in, and years later, they're still in there, still tight, still no problems. And I could not tell, like I said, could not tell a difference in power. Not telling a difference, and I'm pretty astute to what's going on. And going to the track, it was probably faster with the headers, not gonna lie to you. But I couldn't tell the difference unless it was a time on a board or on a time slip. That's how little difference it really made. So that's what I would check in on. Because making your own headers, unless you're a fabricator, is challenging at best. 10-4. So I hope that helped. Try those out. They're cheap too. I think you can get them for like $110. And it comes with all the bolts and the gasket. It comes with everything. And I'm telling you, they work good. What I did with mine, I cut they have alternator brackets for the old cars on them. I cut those off with a big bench grinder, and I ground them all smooth, the whole inside, all outside of them. I went inside, ported them out. I cleaned up all the casting marks I could get to. And then I bought VHT paint on coating, and you paint it on with a brush real thick, and it was like, it was a gloss black. They look great. They look great for years. I really like those. Like I said, if I was drag racing and I wanted to give every ounce out of it, maybe not, but they even sounded good. So that was probably my biggest worry with that car. I didn't want it to sound bad because it sounded good with the headers and the Race Venom mufflers. It was real wicked sounding, and the good sized camshaft, it sounded good. And I just didn't want to give up the sound. Didn't change it at all. So let me know what you did. I'd be interested to see down the road what you did with it. And then let me see, 100% agree with the manifolds over the headers. We get so caught up in horsepower and torque and all these numbers, and we forget about bolt them on them and enjoy them. I mean, yeah, so you give up 15 horsepower. Big deal. That's on a big motor. On a small motor, I bet you don't give up hardly anything. A motor that's making 500 horse, you may give up 15 horsepower. A motor that's making 300 horse, you probably give up 0. Because they just don't flow that much air out of them. So for pure enjoyment, it's hard to beat a manifold. I remember when I was working at the dealership, people would walk in with headers on shit, and I would like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. And they're hot, and they burn plug wires, and they're just drama. But they do flow good. No doubt about it. If you're trying to get every ounce, can't beat a header. But if you don't want to screw them, now these Hooker Super Comps, I haven't had any problems. Let's see, nice Volvo. Okay. Exactly, 1 horse. Yeah, can't tell the difference on 1 horse. I mean, ever. You probably can't tell the difference on 10 horsepower, to be honest with you. I mean, unless you, and again, what is it for? We get into this debate about, oh, my car runs this, my car runs that, blah, blah, blah. But truly, 99% of the people don't go to the drag races. And if you do, who are you competing against? Are you bracket racing? Are you trying to win some drag and drive? 99% of the people are not. The guys that are, well, they trailer their cars out there and they do everything they can to it. I get that. The rest of us, we go and have fun with it. And so my car runs 1220 or 1270. It's still fun. Hello from France. Now that's cool. Paul Filbert. Hello, Paul. How are you? I don't know that I've ever had anybody from France on my channel. Pretty exciting. That's cool. How's everything in France? And it's probably pretty late in the afternoon. It's 3 o'clock here, and I'm in Idaho on the Pacific Coast time. So my county is so big. We have Mountain Time and Pacific Coast. We are a big county with very little people, and but we're on the West Coast time. So it's 4 o'clock in the Mountain Time, and it's California time is like 3 o'clock, same as here. So, and we're in Idaho. So what part of France are you in? Like I would know. Hello, friends. Little speak English. Okay, so I don't speak any French except French fries and oui, and oh, I can say the F word. Is that French? Because we say the F word, we say pardon my French. So, but that's cool that you're all the way from France. I love that. Motor was supposedly built in the 90s, but the man who built it died a week after it was completed. Truck and motor sat 15 years. I got it cranked, engine stand with long tubes. Okay. You can actually, if you know anybody that's a fabricator, he could probably fix those headers to make them fit. It is possible. And it's not impossible. It's not that big a deal if you get the right guy. And so you could probably do that. But, you know, this motor here, I've had this car a long, long time. I don't even know what's in it. So you just work through it. It'll be cool. Yep, super comp headers, manifolds, streeter strip is the only question. Yep, Keith, you're right. Yeah, this has, you know, those Hooker super comps on there that's got those, the big boys. But this thing's kind of street strip built, you know, and it has seen many, many passes down the drag strip. I mean, many. And so it does have a little importance to me, but it's fun. You know, it's fun like it is. And that's why I'm like, why am I debating much about this intake? Because it ain't gonna change much. It's still fun. I put it on just like it was. It was freaking fun car to drive. So sometimes it's a kind of a lost argument, really, because it's fun. What's not working on cars on the side of the road is not fun. Not usually. Usually not a joy to work on cars in the middle of the road. Dogs are barking. Huh. Who knows? Who knows? Where are we at here? Let's see, I'm trying to retain the sound. That was my next question. If you can, chop it and make it fit. So you're going to retain the sound. You know what I said earlier, when I switched out those Hooker headers on my, and they were the cheap ones, they weren't the super comps, on my wagon, and I went to the Ram's horns, arguably it sounded better. Real close. It sounded really good. I probably got more comments, but I was at more places and stuff with the manifold, because I had the manifolds for quite a long time, and people used to comment how that car sounded so good, and it did. I went to a car show one day. It was a patinaed car, and I went to a car show one day, and I pulled into the guy and goes, I don't know about the paint, but you got the best sounding car here, because it was pretty wicked sounding. Big cam, short exhaust, got a little compression, or marginal compression, not a lot, but enough to make it pop. Sounded good. In fact, it's for sale now, that car. And the guy says, well, it's loud and radical sounding if you like that. That's exactly what he says at the car lot, because they sold it to the car lot guy. So it all depends on what you want. I don't think the sound's going to be an issue. Flowmaster motors will make it sound good. Yep. Put Flowmasters anything. You know, actually, what I like, and I've switched to as of late, they're not on this car, but are the Race Venoms. You don't get any of the drone, and that's made by Black Widow. And if you go online and listen to Black Widows, a little shocking how good they sound. A lot like a Flowmaster, but they don't get a lot of drone. And when you step on them, they really open up the sound. In fact, that's what my son's running on his Buick is a Race Venom Black Widow, and then Black Widows are freaking cool. They make everything sound freaking hot roddy. He had them on his truck too. He had a 70 Chevy truck or 71, and again, it was freaking wicked sound. But they're straight through. They're almost like a glass pack, but they're chambered like a Flowmaster. But I don't have one, but they're case welded, and the V's come in, and then where the V goes like this and it goes up and above like a Flowmaster, these have a beveled hole in them, and it goes through, and it can hit another one and go through. So it's basically a straight through shot. Why they don't resonate, beyond me, but they don't. That's kind of what they talk about, is they don't resonate. What they are is they're loud. They definitely make a lot of noise. My dad will tell you that he thinks they're louder than open exhaust. He thinks it speeds up the exhaust on them, makes them louder. Which it may, the design of them, I don't know. Yes, sir, thank you. I will subscribe. Cool. Thank you for the subscribing. I come on all the time, and I do a lot of lives because I can interact live, and it feels more authentic to me. But I do, I did like 3 videos last week. So as I work through stuff, I do small videos on it. And, make sure you do a lot of questions. And if you like my videos and have questions about it, throw them on there, or comments, or hey, tell me I'm a ding dong, or whatever you want. I'm into all of it. So I appreciate that more than you can imagine, because I'm always out in the shop. I love working on cars, and I love hearing what people have to say. This is kind of the new way of communicating. And, I don't want to say I'm a people's person, because when you say that means that you're not, but I do enjoy, I get a lot of energy off people, visiting and talking with them. It's kind of my superpower. But this is another form of it. I'm getting used to it with the technology and doing that. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's see, Keith, restored a few BMWs from back then, a little screamers. Okay, so I've never, ever really messed with the BMW. A buddy of mine, really close friend of mine, still do lots of stuff with him. He's tried to kill me in his BMW many times. He doesn't think it's a problem, but, when you're going across a bridge over a river in just outside of a neighborhood, and he's doing 100 by the time he hits the curve off the other side of the bridge, yeah, you're flirting with danger. And he's like, oh, it's no problem, we're good. As you're screeching the tires through the corner, it is 500 plus horsepower freaking beast. He has quite a few high horsepower exotic type cars, and every time I go down there, it's got another one, and he takes me for a ride, and it's almost suicidal. He told me the other day, oh, you need to go in my Ferrari. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. That's what I don't need to do. I like the Ferrari. It's cool looking. I've looked at it many times. But yeah, no, I think I'm good with that thing. And I would trust it if I was driving it. With him, not so much. Because he loves, and I'm not saying he's a bad driver, because he's not. He goes to the racetrack and goes round and round doing all that. That's kind of the problem, because he's freaking hauling ass. So, and it's always more fun in the driver's seat than it is the passenger seat. I'm thinking everybody here that's following me right now can attest to that. Yeah, his stuff is scary. But yeah, so I haven't been around BMWs much. Yes, a very little screamer. Oh, so Paul said something. Oh, so I missed that. Okay. Paul, I was a mechanic on old European BMWs from 1960 to 1982. I have just finished a 4.2 V8. I am going to fall asleep to your live. You are brilliant at restoration. Thank you so much. So fall asleep. I'm not going to sing you a lullaby though. So yeah, so it must be late there, obviously. Yeah, I was just trying to clean the manifold up. It's actually looking pretty good as I've been talking. So I'll put a little WD-40 on it and a little stuff here and there, and it'll clean right up, but I don't have any pieces that are going to cause me an issue. It feels good. Yeah, so I'm glad to hear it. I hope you do the like and subscribe thing. I appreciate all that. And really cool in France. Never been there, but it's cool to have you on the live with me. And yeah, I love that. That's awesome. That is awesome, awesome. In fact, I feel like I kind of fall asleep right now. That's almost past my nap. It's almost nap 30. Well, now that I got this all cleaned up, I feel pretty good. I got all the big chunks off and just got some little stains. But, you know, the nice thing about this manifold, it doesn't have any pitting in it. You know, these old manifolds usually get pitted. This thing is not pitted at all. That's really, really cool. So, yeah, it's a good manifold. I'm convincing myself I run this manifold. Yep, so that's where we are. Any other questions we got going here on this live at 3:11 on, I don't even know what day it is, Tuesday? Anybody? Any other suggestions or comments or questions or anything of that nature want to talk about or have a question about? I mean, we had the famous Keith Hill on the channel. The man is a wealth of knowledge, which I do appreciate, more than he even knows. Anybody else out there got any questions at all? There we go. Oh, it's Keith. Did LeCar once big difference? LOL, LeCar. I forgot about the LeCars. Yeah, that was probably their version of the Gremlin, would be my guess. Oh, you know, if you're still out there, haven't fallen asleep yet, is there like a car scene in France, you know, like we have in the United States here? You know, where people are big into the cars? You know, I don't like that there's a little hump here I don't like. I mean, the gasket and the silicone will take it up, but you know, pick away at it. There it goes. Yeah, is there a car scene in France? If you're still awake. Oh yeah, the Yugo. Isn't the Yugo, wasn't that Russian though? For some reason I thought that was a Russian car. But I know a lot of the other countries don't seem to have anything. The guy from India never come back. I guess he didn't like us not supporting his whatever he's got going. I guess there's no car scene in India. All right, we're cleaned up pretty good. All right, I got like a big one. It pops up on my screen all orange. It's like I think it's a super, I don't think I've ever had one of these things, super chat type thing. That's cool. So Paul Filbert, secure your future. America has our greatest respect in Europe. You make us dream more and more we have become sheep. You manage to protect your values. All right. I think I can like that too. Hey, I liked it. Thank you. I appreciate that. It popped up big orange on my screen. I haven't had that. So that is really cool. And thank you so much for that. Let me read that again. Secure your future. America has our greatest respect in Europe. You make us dream more and more. We have become sheep. You manage to protect your values. Okay. Well, here in Idaho, we got definitely some strong opinions and some strong values. And most of my strong opinions and values are car related. And it's because we have the freedom to do all that stuff. And I appreciate that. And thank you so much, Paul, for the super chat thing. It's the first one. That's so cool. I appreciate that so much. And all the proceeds, by the way, are I'm putting together anything for my channel for a lift. I'm gonna put a car lift. That's what I'm gonna spend the proceeds on, because I don't make a ton of money on this. It's gonna take me a while, obviously, but that's one of my goals, is to put a car lift here. So thank you so much. With pleasure. You all deserve it. Well, thank you. You have no idea how much I appreciate that, and thank you so much. That's cool. That's cool. I can even like the thing here. I go there and do a heart. Yeah, I got a heart thing too. Hell. And then I'll go back and look at it. And again, appreciate it. And thanks for the comments. Let's see here. What else do we got? Oh, we got a couple like. Everybody's liking. That's cool. So like Paul, what he put down, because if you're in America, he's talking about you. He's, he made it on my comment, but when he says, secure your future, America has the greatest respect in Europe. That's great to hear. That's really good. We all win together. All ships rise, and when the sea rises, all ships rise the same. That is freaking cool. It's cool to hear you. I appreciate it too. Thank you. It is. I mean, that made my day. I always love being on here because I think my people that interact with me, I call them my people because they're my people. And like Keith, Keith's always on here, and Paul, with your comment, everything. It's just like it makes my day. How else can I say it? It's very cool. And I got my manifold cleaned. I don't think I have a spot on here. I got the carburetor cleaned. I made all sorts of progress today. One step closer to the lift. I hosted a French exchange student for a few weeks. 1 year. Appreciate your support. Jimmy James Garage. Yep. So I didn't know you. That's cool. So when I was a kid, we didn't. My neighbor across the street, and I used to take her to school every day because she was in high school, the same age as me. Well, she was a year younger or whatever. But I used to drive her to school every day in my old 71 Nova with the big giant tires and, rumbling in there. And I had those Hush Thrush mufflers that bolted to the back of my blackjack headers. If that doesn't date you, I don't know what will. But they did an exchange student, and she was here for like 6 months. And she was a German girl. And she didn't speak a lick of English. And so she got here, and first day she was there that weekend, they're like, well, it's going to school on Monday. So they said, hey, can she ride with us? Oh, yeah, absolutely. And she got in that car that, that'd wake the freaking neighbors with those little Hush Thrushes behind the header, and that saw lifter 327 with the 12.5 to 1s and the turn downs, And so we come rattling up, and she was like, American car. It's an American car. I didn't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. I just went with it. I just treated it as a good thing. But she was great. She learned a lot of, I don't even know what ever happened to her, but she learned a lot of English over the years. And it was fun having somebody to go to school with every single day, home and back. And she was there for months. And then the amount of English she learned was, and I probably taught her some English, and it was usually not good words. But, what do you do when you're 16? So, it was kind of fun. So, Clearwater, Florida here now. So, I've never been to Florida. I always wanted to go. I hear it's starting to get kind of hot there in Florida right now. I hear your car season's like opposite of ours. I hear there's a lot of car stuff in the wintertime there, not so much in the summer because it's just so hot. But I could be wrong. That's just what I hear. There's hardcore people that'll go no matter what because it's a car show stuff. But and I hope in Europe, I hope they have big car show stuff and a big car scene. And I think it's pretty cool when I get these other countries and other areas. I really love that. I've said it a bunch of times. It's just so surprising to me that because I come from an era where you got a phone on the wall with long cord, that I can be live and somebody in another country in another part of the world is watching us right live with me. I mean, it's a few seconds behind, but it's just so cool to be able to do that. I just love it. I think it's really, really neat. My phone is dying. So let's see here. Thank you for welcoming French students. We are great quality workers, but our country is holding us back from evolving. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of everywhere. That the people in power are always doing the power thing, and the rest of us are just kind of stuck here in the middle. screaming our heads off. But yeah, does France have a big car scene? And then also, that being said, what part of France are you from? I would love to hear. I actually worked at a hospital for a minute, and the nurse there, she was from France, so, and she was fun. I really liked her. So Pascal, her name was. So she was an awesome nurse. She was freaking unbelievable. Um, let's see. All my classic cars are daily drivers. I don't have to have winter drivers anymore. Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah, because you're in Florida, so you don't have to worry about studded snow tires or things that are going to rust, and because they got the road salts on them and all that, and washing them off, and you don't have to worry about the heaters and block heaters and plugging them in and everything that goes along with winter driving. I drive a 2021 Tundra, the Mega Cab one, 4-wheel drive with some BFG, mud tires on it, and it sits in the garage, connected to the house, so I don't really have an issue with cold weather. The truck starts and drives, perfect gas engine, the 5.7. I don't have to really get too much winterized because it's kind of always winterized with the mud tires on it and stuff. And it's our daily driver, and we drive the crap out of it. And so everything else can kind of stay in the garage and stay in the shop, and we just use it in the summertime and spring because we have the Tundra. And I have a car trailer, so if I go to California or something, I can throw the car on a trailer. And I actually threw that wagon I sold it to a guy in Los Angeles. I barely got out of here because I was spinning all 4 of them tires on that Tundra, pulling that wagon out of here. We had a snowy day the day I left. And yeah, you don't think about it when you live in those, because I have lived in non-snowy areas before, and you just don't think of it, especially as a kid where I lived. I lived in Sacramento, and, I didn't think of the snow. That was up in the Sierras. I didn't, I thought of the fog in San Francisco and the snow in the Sierras. I didn't have to deal with much of that. So, but as I grew older and started other careers and stuff, I ended up in the Sierra Nevadas, and I ended up in the snow. And all of a sudden, you got to think about it. And my first experience in the snow was with the 6.2 GMC Chevrolet diesel. And I went out to start it, and it was 20 below. And went, oh, it'll be no problem. Well, that thing didn't even freaking crank over. And I went, oh, it's going to be hard to get to work today. So, yeah, that is definitely a thought. When you don't live in the snow, you don't have to think about it too much. So, let's see where we at here. My list is 61 Chrysler New Yorker wagon, which is so cool. 68 Dodge A100 pickup little red wagon, and a 70 Hemi Cuda, 70 AAR Cuda. Yeah, those are cool, and they just get cooler every year. I don't know what it is about those Chrysler products. Like I said, I don't know that back when I was a kid, they were cool. Everybody liked them. There's not a problem with them, but they just weren't, I don't know if it's valued, or I don't know how to put it, but man, anymore, they are they have just the cream of the crop. They just keep on keeping on. It's just kind of amazing to me. I guess because they were so different in some of their innovations. They did things that were just pistol grip shifters and just name a few things. They just did everything a little over the top compared to the other manufacturers. And maybe that's why they're cool looking. They have cool body styles. That's the other thing. I don't think that the Duke boys really hurt them. I think that was a big influence on Chrysler products because they were in every single movie and every single car show had pretty much a Chrysler product for a while. And I think our era, remembers those. And I think that was a big influence, kind of like the Bandit cars. Even the square body trucks, the old Fall Guy, I think, Bigfoot. I think those kind of fall along the same lines of we grew up with those, so they gain traction as we get older. And I don't know if a lot of people know what that little red wagon is, I mean, I know what it is, but a lot of people don't, I don't think. I wish you all a pleasant day. I am going to find my wife's arms again, LOL, in France. It's 1 a.m. in the morning. All right, cool. Well, you have a great night, and thank you again so much. And please like and subscribe you don't have to like, just subscribe to it so we can talk again. And if you have a channel, let me know. I'd love to go see it. So if you could do all that, if you can remember, because I know it's getting kind of late. So, because I'd love to see what you got. And if you see my other videos, make sure you comment on them. And it's just cool from other countries. I really appreciate that. And then what you did, I appreciate so much. Thank you again so much for that. And have a great night. And tell your bride hello and have a good one. I found more dirt. Yeah, we're getting ready to wrap it up here too because it's my phone's below 20%. It's at 16%. So I'm getting low on the phone. I've just killed my phone. So gonna have to wrap it up here pretty quick. Let's see, Dodge 10 dually has been around the entire country, about 40 states. That's cool. I don't know that I've ever been in the Dodge. Well, no, I've been in a Viper, so I take that back. And I raced a guy one time. I had a Camaro with an LS in it, and he had one of them V10s in a short bed Dodge. You don't want to know the outcome because it wasn't good for him. But it was close. I was kind of surprised. I thought I was going to crush him, and it was a very close little battle. And I had an LS in a SS Camaro that I did a few little tricks to, and pretty fast car. And I was doing some business dealings with this guy, and he was telling me about his V10 truck and how fast it was, and I kind of chuckled. And boy, after we got done, it was in Santa Rosa actually, and after we got done at 3 a.m. drag racing on the freeway, I found out that you never ever judge somebody because you just never know. Even though I beat him very many times, over and over, it was within a car length, and at one point he was ahead of me. So, yeah, those things run pretty good. I never rode in that truck, but I said drag race against him. We must have run it about 10 times that night. It was kind of a fun night. So I was there supposed to be doing business and ended up doing car stuff. Go figure. Go figure me and doing car stuff. Drag racing on the freeway with the SS Camaro against and I don't remember, it was a black with yellow stripes all over it with the V10 in it. It was a cool truck, that's for sure. And he had just bought it. But when you're racing a super light little Camaro with a little bit of work to it, and with the LS in it, it's a pretty hard car to beat. But if that car would have been bone stock, you'd have beat it. There's no doubt about it. No doubt. And that surprised me. Do they still make that V10? I don't remember. I see a lot of the Ford V10s, but I don't remember many of the Dodges around, other than the Viper type thing. Yeah, and his truck said Viper or something on it too, if I remember right. I said it was a nice truck. It was brand new, or real new, so newer. Yeah, I got these cleaned out. Let's see. Towed 45-foot full toy hauler to Tennessee mountains, 70 miles an hour cruise control, AC on, no problem. Everyone else slowed down to 35. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they definitely had power. Yeah, Keith, do they still make those V10s in Chryslers? Kind of been out of the new car thing lately, and all the updates and the stuff. I didn't switch, but I've had Toyotas for so long now, I've kind of lost track of all the new vehicles. Plus, new vehicles kind of have not really been my jam lately. Now my son has that, Cummins and that Dodge of his, that Ram of his. He likes it. We've had a few drag races, and that 380 horse Toyota Tundra is fairly stout. He hasn't beat it yet, so he was telling the guy that owns the dealership about it. he goes, well, I own the Dodge and the Toyota. I'm telling you right now, that Toyota in a drag race, it ain't even comparison. It'll smoke you. He says, but put a trailer behind it, it'll be a different freaking, a different competition. And he's probably right about that. I guess those new Cummins like his are 1,000 horsepower or something. They're unbelievable. They get that much power out of those things. But he hauls with it every day. He has a what do you call it behind it every single day, a gooseneck with cattle in it. So he's always, because he's the butcher, so he's got 3 or 4 cows in it every day. You know, and they're 1,500 a piece, so he got a lot of weight in that thing every single day. And it doesn't seem to even grunt, so it runs good with it all. Yeah, they don't make the V10, huh? That's a bummer. You would think they would. Mazda 95 with 85,000 miles. All highway, 4-wheel drive. That's a cool truck. Yeah, that guy I was racing that night down in Santa Rosa, in the Bay Area there, north of the Bay Area. You know, it said Viper on that truck. And it was in the late 90s, because my Camaro was fairly new. It might have been the 2000s. It was probably in the early 2000s. Would be my guess. Or maybe mid-2000, maybe like 2004 or 5. That's probably more like it, because the car wasn't brand new, so. But I don't know how new his truck was or wasn't. And did you end up selling that truck, Keith, or do you still have it? Well, I think we're almost done here, so I'm done with the thing, and my gout's flaring up. My foot's killing me again, so I think it's time to go inside and take a load off and do a bunch more hydrating and see if I can get this thing cured. And I probably overdid it out here, but enjoyed talking to everybody and appreciate you guys joining me. And when you see this video down in the future, tell me what you think of the intake. And then again, thank you, France. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Keith. Everybody else that participated, Marvin, and all you guys, and everybody out there. I love that. So 96 would have been beat the Corvette and Camaro in the 8th. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, 95. So 95 was the LT1 on the Corvette. So I still got it. That's a cool truck. That's cool. That's very cool. So 95, so that's a different body style 95, if I remember right, correct? Doesn't 95 have those big fenders on, almost like the diesel trucks when those came out? Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. So anyways, down the road, if you guys see this video, comment, because it may not be in yet. So we'll see how quickly I get this thing completely cleaned up and done. And how quick I get it back on the road, which needs to be quick, because we got car shows to go to and cruise nights and lots of fun stuff, going to Reno and all that stuff. So I gots to get her done. I gots to get it done. Of course, every time I flip it and move it, I see a little spot that needs to be cleaned up. Like this little thing for the water. Got some of that crap on there, that sealant. Yep, all right, very good. 94 is the first anteater body. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I figured it was. So that is a cool, cool truck. All right, Keith, everybody else out there watching, and I appreciate everybody, and thank you so much for sticking around and liking and subscribing and doing all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you soon. My phone is dying, otherwise I'd stay in. My gout's a flaring. So see you guys. See you, everybody.